Chapter 1799. If you have the ability, then call the person behind this. This is actually not a matter of money. If you don't give me face, why should I give you face? Interpersonal relationships are mutual. You're good, I'm good, everyone's good. She said that she's already on a mission and isn't here. That should be an excuse. The charming woman said to the manager. The manager frowned. That's a little too much. The charming woman had no choice. They were in Water City now, bullying a newly appointed city lord, but the other party was petty. However, if it was anyone else, they would be angry. Manager, it seems that our auction house will be closed for a period of time. This barrier will be covered in a layer of dust. We can't get out. It's obvious that she's targeting us. She'll only set up the barrier when there are no guests in the auction house. It was obvious that she was using her position to take revenge. Isn't it just a barrier? It's not like she's the only one who can set it up. The manager's expression was not worried, but he did not panic either. It was as though he was not afraid of such a change. Why don't we look for young master? I'm not capable enough. He doesn't even care about me. The charming woman said with some worry. It was so tiring to have such a boss. In the end, it's all because of the tax. Why don't we just give the tax to that city lord? In the end, it's all because of money. Things that can be solved with money are small. Being locked up like this, we'll lose all our money. The charming woman felt that doing business should be more harmonious. Harmony made money. After all, they were the ones who would suffer losses. The other party wouldn't lose anything by doing this. It was their side that would suffer losses. The man waved his hand. It's not that simple. The auction house has been in Water City for so long, and this is the first time something like this has happened. This city lord is really a newborn calf that isn't afraid of the tiger. She didn't investigate anything before making a move. If she wants to seal it, then so be it. I'll make her open the barrier obediently. The man said faintly. Our auction house can still afford to lose such a small amount of money. When the time comes, we'll get her to compensate. The charming woman's head was about to explode. There was clearly room for negotiation, but she had to maintain her face. Meeting a pig boss made her feel uncomfortable. It was too sullen. She wanted to find a part-time job, but in the end, she didn't know how long she would be locked up. When the other shops in Water City saw this situation, they had some thoughts in their hearts, but they restrained themselves a little. Shu Bai leaned against the window with a round fan in her hand. She gently fanned herself as she looked in the direction of the auction house. The sky above the auction house was shrouded in ripples under the sunlight. The ripples sparkled like tiny diamonds. However, this barrier was extremely tough. Shu Bai fanned herself and couldn't hold it in anymore. In any case, it wasn't a bad idea to show off his strength. Otherwise, others would think that the city lord was a soft persimmon that could be easily bullied. It was good to move a little. Ning Shu finished reading a book and put it back on the shelf. He then said to 2333, let's go to the other cities and look for the world origin. Ning Shu was currently in a good mood. She could run around everywhere, but the people in the auction house could not. Just thinking about it made her happy. You won't be able to do business. Ning Shu wandered around several cities and even went to a few cities with supreme laws. The pressure in these cities was very heavy. When he entered, he felt very uncomfortable. After circling around for a while, he quickly left. After going through several cities, he still couldn't find the world origin. Was the world origin so rare? Or was it secretly hidden by others, and there were very few circulating on the market? Ning Shu wandered around and still couldn't find it, so he returned to the system space. Forget it, I'd better go do the quest. Ning Shu opened the system shop's exchange system and exchanged for some fasting pills and the like. 2333 said, someone sent you a message. From the auction house? Ning Shu asked faintly. No, it's a message from the other shops in the City of Water. 2333 said. Ning Shu said indifferently, don't worry about it. These people are probably trying to find out what I mean and what I want to do. In the future, if it's nothing important, they'll say that I'm doing a quest. I think it's time to see the client first. This black hole has nothing to do with it. I'm in the system space and I'm not swallowed, right? Ning Shu looked at the black hole on the wall expressionlessly. 2333 hesitated for a moment. Why don't you wait a little longer? You haven't seen the client for a long time anyway. It's not going to be so short. Ning Shu was speechless. These words were really unpleasant to hear. What do you mean by I haven't seen the client for a long time anyway? It felt full of sarcasm. Okay, then I'll wait a little longer. Let's see how long I can wait. Go do the quest. Ning Shu said in advance. Be a little gentler. Every time it's uncomfortable, it affects my mood to do the quest. Doing the quest in a good state could get twice the result with half the effort. I'm gentle every time. The reason why it's uncomfortable is because your soul is too weak. It has nothing to do with me. 2333 said directly. Of course not. Ning Shu exchanged for the fasting pills and closed the shop. 2333 teleported Ning Shu to the world. Ning Shu felt a little better, but he felt that the teleportation took a little longer. It didn't matter if it was a little slower, the main thing was that it was more comfortable. Sure enough, 2333 used to be simple and crude. It was also because it was too straightforward. It always felt that it was because its soul was too weak. After a while, Ning Shu felt that he had fused into a body. When he fused into the body, he felt a huge repulsive force. Ning Shu also felt that this body had a very strong lingering spirit, repelling it. Ning Shu fought with this lingering spirit and slowly fused into the body. Once he fused into the body, Ning Shu spat out a mouthful of blood. Ning Shu opened his eyes, wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth, and looked around. This was an elegant and unique room. She was now sitting on the bed, smoke coming from the incense burner. Ning Shu rubbed his forehead, feeling that his body was not very comfortable. It felt like he couldn't control his body as he wished. It had been a long time since he had this feeling. Ning Shu felt that this body should have power. This world should have a complete power system. Ning Shu closed his eyes and began to accept the plot. This was a cultivation world. Learning and cultivating, seeking the truth and obtaining great power. There were many sects, countless techniques, and countless killings. The cultivation world was incomparably cruel. Cultivators fought with the heavens, stealing the heavens and earth to replenish themselves. They fought with people, stealing resources, killing people, and stealing treasures. Although they pursued the Tao, they were not like gods who had no desires. They were like ordinary people, greedy, jealous, and lustful. In short, it was a very cruel world. Chapter 1800. The person who entrusted her was called Jiang Xuetzi, an elder of Purple Sand Island. She was a nascent soul cultivator, but only in the early stage. However, it was not bad. She could be considered a spirit refinement cultivator. If she improved further, she would enter the spirit refinement realm. Purple Sand Island was on an island. There was something called purple sand in the seawater. It was a good material for refining weapons. When refining weapons, adding some purple sand could improve the weapon's performance. If possible, Jiang Xuetzi could achieve the immortal Tao. However, when the Purple Sand Island was recruiting disciples, they had recruited a very powerful female disciple. This female disciple was called Yu Xian. Most people cultivated immortality, but Yu Xian cultivated the divine Tao. If ordinary people fought with the heavenly Tao, then Yu Xian was fighting with the great Tao. Cultivation was divided into the immortal Tao, the divine Tao, the demon Tao, the devil Tao, the ghost Tao, the devil Tao, and other spiritual objects of heaven and earth. There were 3,000 great Taos. Yu Xian cultivated the divine Tao, which was more powerful than ordinary people. Although it was difficult to increase her level, she could challenge people of a higher level. Yu Xian did not care about golden core or nascent soul cultivators. Although the divine Tao that he cultivated looked like a weak chicken, his ability could not be underestimated. To be able to recruit such a genius to Purple Sand Island, it was Purple Sand Island's fortune. However, geniuses had their pride. Yu Xian was an amazing person who had endless treasures. Yu Xian was like a white swan mixed into a flock of chickens, a crane standing out from the flock. Moreover, Yu Xian was a person of few words. If there was a disagreement, she would beat people down. However, this did not stop Yu Xian from being outstanding. I like it when you dislike me but still have to build a new society with me. Others were ordinary players, but Yu Xian was a rich player. Yu Xian inherited an ancient divine Dao sect. All the sect's resources were Eoshuan's. When Yu Xian entered Purple Sand Island, she was taken in as the only disciple of Purple Sand Island's top expert, Qi Cheng. As for the person who entrusted her, he had a slight relationship with this expert. Cultivation was lonely. Sometimes, it was not bad to find someone with similar interests to cultivate with and pursue the great Dao. Jiang Xuezi was interested in Qi Cheng. She wanted to become Dao companions with Qi Chengning. Yes, in every Xianxia story, there was a canon fodder martial ant, and it was a female martial ant. But this was a love story between master and disciple. No, Yu Xian was a very proud person. However, Yu Xian was a straightforward person. What kind of feeling was that? The world was big and I was the biggest. I could break the heavens, and I wasn't afraid of anything. I lived a carefree life. Jiang Xuezi liked to discuss cultivation experiences with Qi Cheng so that they could improve their cultivation. Then, Qi Cheng, this disciple, said, "You're a thief and she's a prostitute. You're so pretentious and pretentious. Who doesn't know what you're thinking?" Jiang Xuezi was embarrassed to have her thoughts exposed so abruptly. Qi Cheng, this disciple, was originally unruly and had offended many people on Purple Sand Island. However, her ability was too awesome, and no one could do anything to her. She had always treated others as though they were nothing. Logically speaking, every time Yu Xian saw Jiang Xuezi, she should greet Yu Xian as a junior. However, Yu Xian never bowed. Instead, it was Jiang Xuezi who greeted her first. After all, she was the disciple of her sweetheart. The other party always looked down on people. Jiang Xuezi vaguely told Qi Cheng to teach her disciple how to conduct herself. After all, it wasn't good to offend too many people. People couldn't exist independently. However, this master was also a straightforward person. After Jiang Xuezi left, he immediately called his disciple in. He said, "Disciple, you should be more humble and be more tactful. Although you're a little powerful, you shouldn't cause unnecessary trouble." Yu Xian wasn't stupid. Of course, she knew that Jiang Xuezi was the one who complained. She rushed to Jiang Xuezi's mountain and challenged her. "You're so weak, yet you want me to respect you? I don't bow to you because you're not worthy. Your ability is not worthy." Jiang Xuezi was so embarrassed that she wanted to explode. If she fought, people would say that an elder was bullying a junior. If she didn't fight, she would be chased to the mountain. If she didn't fight, how could she establish herself on Purple Sand Island in the future? After all, she was an elder. Seeing Jiang Xuezi dilly-dallying, Yu Xian was very impatient. She took out her divine weapon and started fighting. Jiang Xuezi had no choice but to fight. Then, Jiang Xuezi was beaten up in various ways. Moreover, the other party had many divine weapons. Jiang Xuezi was beaten to the ground and vomited blood. Yu Xian defeated a nascent soul cultivator with her foundation establishment cultivation level. Moreover, there was a golden core cultivator in between. Yu Xian looked at Jiang Xuezi condescendingly. "I didn't argue with you because you're weak. You even took advantage of me. The strong are respected. Now, you still have the nerve to ask me to call you Uncle Master and bow to you." She didn't know her place. Jiang Xuezi vomited blood and stood up. She saw that the surrounding people were looking at her with complicated expressions. In order not to destroy her Dao heart, Jiang Xuezi suppressed the negative emotions in her heart and said to Yu Xian, "You're powerful. I'm not as good as you. Therefore, don't complain to Master." Jiang Xuezi closed her eyes. "I won't." Yu Xian left this time. She didn't care about how Jiang Xuezi or the others felt. She was powerful enough to support her arrogance and recklessness. Then, Jiang Xuezi became the joke of the entire Purple Sand Island. She was defeated by a foundation establishment disciple. What a joke! More importantly, she wanted to dual cultivate with an expert, an expert, an expert. However, her disciple came to humiliate her. Qi Cheng could only shake his head helplessly at his disciple. He told Yu Xian to be more stable. Many ants could kill an elephant. If she offended too many people, she might fall into someone's trap. People's hearts were sinister. Yu Xian didn't care at all. She used force to overcome skill. All schemes were useless in the face of force. Although Yu Xian was arrogant, she had the backing of an ancient divine Tao sect. She defeated everyone in an instant. If she was an ordinary person, this would be called arrogance. However, if she was powerful, she would automatically beautify it. This could be called true temperament. Jiang Xuetzi set Yu Xian as her target. After cultivating for a while, she felt that she was stronger and challenged Yu Xian. This had become Jiang Xuetzi's inner demon. Every time she challenged Yu Xian, her heart would shatter. She also had to endure Yoshuan's contempt and humiliation. However, she was helpless because she couldn't defeat Yu Xian. This caused her inner demon to become stronger and stronger. Then she went crazy and died. Ning Shu was speechless. What was going on with this story? If one was weak, they wouldn't even be able to obtain basic dignity. What did people work hard for? It was to become stronger. It was to obtain certain things, such as dignity, strength, or respect. Chapter 1801. The world was cruel, but the client was burned to death by her inner demons. Her mind was burned, and she died. She failed again and again. The feeling of failure and humiliation was enough to destroy a person. Moreover, Jiang Xuetzi felt that she should have a good relationship with expert. They could talk about Tao and exchange cultivation experiences. They should have known each other well. In the end, she realized that it was her own wishful thinking. She was just a joke in the eyes of others. She was an ugly fool who did not know her own limits. She was a disgusting clown who jumped up and down. Jiang Xuetzi had mixed feelings. She was just a pawn in Yoshuan's path of pretentiousness. Actually, Jiang Xuetzi did not have any deep grudges with Yu Xian. It was just that she had said too much in front of Yoshuan's master. She just felt that Yu Xian was not very sociable. She needed to cultivate the ways of the world. Moreover, a master was like a father. There was nothing wrong with teaching her. Jiang Xuetzi was an elder of Purple Sand Island. She was of the same generation as expert Qi Cheng. There was nothing wrong with saying that. The problem was that Yu Xian pretended to be weak. She was very powerful. Her act of flaunting her seniority was a slap in the face. Jiang Xuetzi's Tao heart was destroyed. She could not recover from this setback. Some people had a strong foundation. Some people could only rely on hard work. No matter how hard they worked, they could not reach 1/10 of others. Especially when she was tied to such a person, it was simply the misfortune of her life. Once there was a problem with one's Tao heart, it would be a disaster for the cultivator. Jiang Xuetzi had no other wishes. She just wanted to mend her Tao heart. As for expert, she had no chance. She did not want to develop with expert. Expert would not protect his disciple. Why would he protect an outsider like her? When misfortune arises, there is a saying. Ning Shu's heart swelled. He spat out another mouthful of black blood. Ning Shu took out a jade bottle from the drawer of the coffee table and poured out an elixir pill. When the pill entered his throat, it turned into a cool and refreshing feeling. Then this cool and refreshing feeling stopped at his heart, and that painful and swollen feeling finally dissipated a little. She came at a bad time. Jiang Xuetzi was being beaten by Yu Xian. She could no longer raise her head in Purple Sand Island. Right now, he was in a bit of a state of qi deviation and had been relying on pills to support himself. Ning Shu sighed helplessly. It was not easy for a powerhouse to be born. One's spiritual roots determined one's innate talent, and one's wisdom determined one's height. The path of cultivation was fraught with difficulties and dangers. Many people had perished. Do your best to mend your Tao heart. Ning Shu pointed his finger and 2 water droplets appeared in the air. Although the suppression of the laws was still present, it was slightly weaker than before. Could it be that defeating Yu Xian would fix his Dao heart? Or could it be that he could fix it from other aspects? The Dao heart was a firm pursuit of the great Dao. It included courage, tenacity, wisdom, spirit, and strength. However, with Eoshuan's excellence and arrogance, she was practically stepping on the shattered Dao heart and sprinting towards the top. Cultivation believed that every man for himself, and the heavens take the hindmost. However, it could not be helped. She was too outstanding. There was nothing that could be done about her strength. Moreover, she was extremely powerful. She was angry and powerless because she was not strong enough. It must be said that this lass had destroyed the Dao hearts of many disciples on the Purple Sand Island, forming a strange phenomenon. They either had a deep hatred for her and clenched their teeth to fight to the death, or she had attracted a large wave of brainless fans, becoming her fangirls and worshipping her for no reason. The island master of Purple Sand Island felt that things were not right. Some of the young talents had been beaten to the point that they could not lift their spirits. What else could they do? These disciples were going to be the mainstays of Purple Sand Island in the future. The island master and the sect master found an expert and asked him to keep an eye on his disciples so that they would not run up to others and beat them up. However, the expert said that the path of immortal cultivation was filled with difficulties. If they could not overcome this, then what was the point of immortal cultivation? They should go home, get married, have children, and carry on the family line. Then they should wait for death. What was the point of immortal cultivation? If their disciples were strong, then they would be proud. Did they want their disciples to hide their true strength? If they were weak, then they would blame their disciples for being strong. That was unreasonable. It did not mean that they were weak, but they were right. Even if they bullied the weak, they deserved it because they were not strong enough. The wounds from Eoshuan's beating would not heal in a short time. Recently, Jiang Xuetzi had been staying on her own mountain and did not want to go out. After all, she had just embarrassed herself and was too embarrassed to go out. She did not want to go out of her own mountain. At this moment, the entire Purple Sand Island was spreading the news that Fairy Xuetzi had been beaten up by the new disciples. Ning Shu did not want to go out and enjoy the gossip and weird looks. She was injured and had to recuperate. It was said that birds of a feather flocked together. He always felt that the expert was like his disciple, someone with a low EQ. Every day, he would come to his mountain to talk about the Tao. He did not even realize that this woman liked him. Even though the entire Purple Sand Island had spread the news that Fairy Xuetzi was in love with Qi Qing, the expert did not realize it. If all the experts had the same mentality and thought that if you were weak, then you deserved it, then all the retards in this world should be extinct. They should be helpless and waiting to be killed. How could it be easy to talk about opportunities? She had obtained the inheritance of an ancient divine Tao sect. Ordinary people would not have such luck. After eating the pill, Ning Shu looked inside and saw a very small baby sitting cross-legged in his dantian. The baby's facial features were very delicate and lifelike. The baby's facial features were very similar to the face of the client. This should be the nascent soul of the client. However, this nascent soul looked a little dispirited. Jiang Xuetzi's Tao heart was a little unstable after being injured and this sudden incident. Jiang Xuetzi did not expect that the disciple of the person she loved would barge into her mountain and challenge her. This caused her to be in a difficult position, making her feel extremely awkward. If she won, it would not be a glorious thing. If she lost, especially to a junior, it would be even more embarrassing. Moreover, it was the disciple of the person she loved. What if their relationship soured? Even when they fought later, Jiang Xuetzi did not use her full strength. She wanted to go easy on Yu Xian. In the end, she was slapped in the face. Yu Xian did not need her to be polite. She had beaten her up the moment she came. Even when Jiang Xuetzi used all her strength, she was still beaten up. It was a sad thing. Ning Shu cast a spell and set up a spirit gathering array. The spirit qi in the cultivation world was abundant. Chapter 1802. After the spirit gathering array was set up, Ningshu had not felt so refreshed and full of spirit qi for a long time. Why was the spirit qi rushing into her body? Ningshu absorbed the spirit qi and gathered it in her dantian. However, her body was uncomfortable and her meridians were twitching. Ningshu did not know if it was because of her injuries or psychological problems, but her cultivation was not smooth. Her chest was swollen and painful, and there was a faint feeling of irritation in her heart that was hard to get rid of. This feeling was that she was unhappy with everything she saw, and everything she saw was not pleasing to her eyes. Was her period coming? The nascent soul in her dantian was still dispirited and not crystal clear. There was a faint gray aura around it. Was there a problem with her Tao heart? Even though Jiang Shuetzi had been very gentlemanly and suppressed the negative emotions in her heart, it still affected her Tao heart. Ordinary people would not be able to overcome this hurdle. They would be so affected that they doubted their life and became dispirited. They did not know what the fuck the use of their hard work and sweat was. Ningshu could only stop cultivating. She was very frustrated. Cultivating like this was not effective. Instead, it was counterproductive. What if she really went crazy? Ningshu prepared to go to the alchemy room to get some calming elixirs. After leaving the room, Ningshu walked out of the courtyard and met some disciples. These disciples hurriedly bowed to Ningshu. Elder Jiang. Ningshu nodded slightly. However, when she walked past them, some of them were whispering and sneaking glances at her. They were obviously talking about how she had been challenged by the new disciples. Ningshu looked around and realized that many people were staring and pointing at her. She felt a ball of fire burning in her heart, as if it was going to burn her rationality. Ningshu now understood why Jiang Shuetzi kept challenging Yushen. It was because only by defeating Yushen could she face these gazes calmly and extinguish the fire in her heart. In other words, Jiang Shuetzi and Yushen were entangled in karma. This karma would cause them to be entangled until one of them died to end this karma. Yushen was just cannon fodder. Most likely, after he died, people would say that he was narrow-minded and went crazy after being surpassed. These gazes made Ningshu feel very uncomfortable. He knew that he shouldn't care, but he still did. When had she ever been someone who cared about other people's opinions? But now, under the burning of her inner demon, she wanted to draw out all the darkness in her heart. Hatred, anger, jealousy, and hatred. Even though he knew that he shouldn't, his heart was still aching. He knew that he should let it go, but his heart just couldn't. Ningshu took a deep breath and chanted the clear heart mantra in his heart, activating the calm aura. It had been a long time since he felt so powerless and unable to control his body and emotions. Moreover, Ningshu always felt that there was a lingering spirit in this body. In fact, she could be considered to have taken over this body. His mind was not in his control, and his body was not in his control. Ningshu sealed off his sense of hearing and walked towards the alchemy room. He would greet the disciples he met. He only nodded his head slightly and ignored the rumors. Since he couldn't be indifferent, then he would just bury his head in the sand. When he reached the alchemy room, Ningshu walked in. An old man with a red nose was sitting on a recliner, swaying and drinking wine. He had a satisfied look on his face and was even humming. Ningshu walked over and called Uncle Duan. This old man was the alchemy master of the Purple Sand Island. The entire Purple Sand Island's supply of pills was refined by this old man. Old man Duan opened his eyes and sized up Ningshu. "Little girl, what's wrong with you? Is your Tao heart damaged?" Ningshu touched his face. "Is it that obvious? People like me who refine pills also know medical principles. A person's essence, energy, and spirit cannot be faked. Look at your gloomy face. It's like you've run into bad luck." Old man Duan stood up and took out a jade bottle from a box with his hands behind his back and gave it to Ningshu. "This kind of damaged Tao heart, you still have to rely on yourself. This pill can temporarily suppress it, but suppressing it is not a long-term solution. You still have to repair and perfect your Tao heart." Old man Duan said, "What's the point of competing with a junior?" Ningshu took the jade bottle and gave it a few point tokens. These point tokens were used by the sect to encourage disciples to do more sect missions and then earn points. Then use these points to exchange for cultivation resources. Ning Shu said helplessly, so you know about it. How many people come and go in my alchemy room? What on this purple sand island can I not know? Old man Duan swayed and drank a mouthful of wine. But that disciple of Qi Ching doesn't know etiquette. If he can't stand being restrained, then don't come to the sect. Just be a rogue cultivator. The sect is one. Old man Duan said casually. Don't spout nonsense. If you say that, you'll be labeled as a villain elder. A villain elder who doesn't respect himself and takes advantage of his seniority. When the time comes, he'll challenge you to alchemy. Don't cry at that time. Ning Shu sincerely suggested. You are old. Just focus on alchemy and enter the Tao with alchemy. Don't worry about these miscellaneous things. Yu Xian was really arrogant. She could fight with just a word of disagreement. She had the backing of an entire divine Tao sect. A sect had alchemy, refining, and all kinds of books. And if she really came to challenge Old Man Duan, he would definitely be hung up and beaten. Ancient sects had complete pill recipes. Some pill recipes had already disappeared, and in ancient times, the heaven and earth treasures of heaven and earth were the best. Unlike now, where immortal cultivators cut up the resources of heaven and earth like chives. And in Eoshuan Senfu, there were all kinds of heaven and earth treasures everywhere. If she couldn't win, then she would have to deal with an entire divine Tao sect by herself. And what was even more awesome was that there were divine souls in these alchemy and refining tools. These divine souls didn't have consciousness and existed for the sake of alchemy and refining tools. Every time Yushen refined pills or refined tools, these divine souls would temporarily enter her body. She needed to operate, and these divine souls could complete the alchemy by themselves. And the alchemy pills refined were the best in the world. Old Man Duan would really be hung up and beaten. Old Man Duan waved his hand. I don't have such thoughts. I won't bicker with a junior. Ning Shu smiled. It would be best if he didn't provoke Yu Xian. If he couldn't win, he would hide. Once he was stained with karma, he would fight to the death. If he didn't kneel, he wouldn't die. Of course, Ning Shu felt that both of these would damage one's Tao heart. When cultivators sought the Tao, they would get rid of the false and seek the truth. They sought the unity of heaven and earth and cultivated as if they were heaven and earth. Being under someone's shadow or kneeling brainlessly would affect one's Tao heart. When one's Tao heart was truly firm, nothing could beat it. It was just constantly correcting oneself. Not fearing any attacks, it wasn't easy to build, but it was easy to destroy with violence. Chapter 1803. Ning Shu took the jade bottle and was about to leave when he met an expert who brought his disciple, Yu Xian, to the alchemy room. The two sides bumped into each other and the atmosphere suddenly became silent. This was a bit awkward. Junior sister, are your injuries healed? Qi Ning Shu asked. I have some healing pills. Ning Shu's mouth twitched. Does this guy know how to talk? I'm fine. You can keep the healing pills for yourself. My disciple is too immature. Junior sister, please don't take offense. Ning Shu clasped his hands and said. He was wearing a deep robe with wide sleeves. His face was bright and clear. He was a good-looking man. Of course I won't take offense. I'm not as good as her, so I have to accept my loss. Ning Shu said indifferently. Apologize to your martial uncle. Qi Ching said to his disciple. Eoshuan's long hair was tied into a ponytail. She was wearing a neat sect uniform. Master, you want me to apologize to a loser? Since ancient times, the strong are respected. She still has the nerve to call herself an elder. If she's not strong enough, she can only rely on her age. Moreover, she's an old woman. She's eyeing you covetously and wants to eat you, Yu Xian said coldly. Her tone was filled with disdain. A toad wanting to eat swan meat. She didn't even know if she was good enough for her master. Her master's wife couldn't be such a snitch. She said she didn't know how to be human. What did that have to do with her? Ning Shu calmly adjusted her sleeves and said with a smile, I'm interested in your master and want to pursue the Tao with him. I don't think there's anything wrong with my liking him. It's a heinous thing. If you think I'm not good enough for your master, then that's your business. It has nothing to do with me. If liking someone is an unforgivable thing, then I can take back my liking. As for what happened in front of your master, before Ning Shu could finish, Yu Xian took out the Ho Yi Bao and shot it at Ning Shu. Moreover, she released a huge arrow qi. This arrow qi was incomparably sharp. Ning Shu rushed over. Ning Shu hurriedly dodged. The arrow was nailed to the ground by Ning Shu's feet, and the arrow was swaying. Ning Shu was speechless. Fuck, can't you speak properly? You're blabbering on and on. Only people with no ability would be able to win a battle of words. I know you don't like me, but so what? I have strength. Yu Xian said with disdain. She would kill him with just one word. Ning Shu nodded. Yes, I'm not as skilled as others. Aren't you trying to attract my master's attention by saying so much in front of her? How pretentious and disgusting. Yu Xian sneered. Ning Shu. All right, I was being unreasonable. Crazy, can't you say a few words calmly? Ning Shu's anger rose. When a person's dignity was insulted, they would rise up. Even if it was an egg hitting a rock, they would do it without any hesitation. With a Yu Xian like this, it was no wonder that wave after wave of people would swarm up to her. A warrior would rather be killed than humiliated. Ning Shu chanted the clear heart mantra in his heart and prepared to leave. If this continued, Ning Shu felt that his Tao heart would explode. Stay away from this kind of person who thinks she is the most important person in the world. If you say something wrong, she might chop you to death. Don't complain to my master in the future. If you want to complain, you have to see if you have the strength. Yu Xian looked at Ning Shu with disdain. Her face was full of, you lowly mortals. It was as if she was about to ascend. Ning Shu said indifferently, I'll say the same thing again. I feel that your mouth is stuffed with shit. I'm trying to please your master. I feel that your master cares about you. That's why I gave her a suggestion. I'm not trying to complain about you, and I'm not targeting you. You think too highly of yourself. In the end, you're still using me to get close to my master. You should know your place. Yu Xian said disdainfully. Was the beating you received not as good as the beating? Ning Shu said, then let me give you a word of advice. You have a fortuitous encounter, and it's a blessing from the heavens. Cherish it. Don't use it to bully others. Sometimes, a person without a temperament would be doted on by the heavens. If one wasn't noble, cold, and arrogant, one wouldn't be able to show off one's strength. One had to be prettier and stronger than others. Others had to be uglier and weaker than her. It's my own business that I have a fortuitous encounter. If you can't get it, you're jealous. If you can't beat me, you're saying that I'm bullying the weak because I'm stronger. Only people without strength and ability would be so petty. What do you mean by humility? If you're not frivolous, you'll have no vigor at all. Yu Xian, don't be rude. Qi Cheng rubbed his brows. This disciple wasn't weak, but she was a little arrogant. But it was understandable that people with talent and strength in the world would have weird tempers. If one didn't have some pride, how could they improve? Although Qi Cheng was scolding his disciple, he was obviously protecting her. The person who asked him to do this was really smart. Even if he wanted to talk about the Tao, he would have it in his heart. Nothing. In the eyes of others, it was a huge joke. Ning Shu felt that there was nothing wrong with liking someone. It was a beautiful feeling. Since the other party was trampling on this beautiful feeling, then he should just take it back. If someone liked someone, they should be grateful and not be insulted. Even liking someone could be divided into high and low. Old man Duan Ning Shu said, hurry up and go back. Treat your injuries well. Let go of what you need to let go. Ning Shu bowed. I understand. Ning Shu also knew that old man Duan was doing this for his own good. He didn't want to get entangled and end up being the one suffering. Old man Duan, is the gold marrow pill I asked you to refine? Qi Cheng asked old man Duan. It's done. Old man Duan took out a jade bottle. I spent a lot of effort to refine this. When Ning Shu reached the door, he heard about the gold marrow pill. This gold marrow pill was used to form the core. Since Qi Cheng was already in the soul formation stage, he didn't need to form the core. It should be a pill for Yu Xian to form the core. Qi Cheng gave the pill to Yu Xian. Yu Xian opened the bottle and poured out the pill. She muttered softly, "The quality of the pill isn't very good." Everyone present was a cultivator with sharp eyes and ears. Old Man Duan's face immediately turned red in embarrassment. Qi Cheng slapped Yoxuan's back in annoyance. "How can you say that? Apologize to Old Man Duan. The quality isn't very good to begin with. There are no pill veins and the pill fragrance isn't enough," Yu Xian said. The pills in Senfu were all of the best quality. There were cloud veins and the pill fragrance was still very strong. The reason she came here was because her master dragged her here. Chapter 1804. Some ancient alchemy techniques had already been lost, and these alchemists were painstakingly searching for the pill formulas and techniques of the past. Elder Duan's pills were definitely not comparable to the pills of the divine Dao sects, but if they were comparable, Elder Duan would be a prominent figure in the alchemy world. Elder Duan's self-restraint was good. "My alchemy skills are not good, don't look for me next time." Yu Xian pouted. He was not good to begin with, and now he was flaunting his seniority. She might even take out the ancient pill formulas for reference. Ning Shu turned and left. Whatever Yu Xian wanted to do was none of her business. The most important thing for her now was to mend her Dao heart. Ning Shu returned to her own mountain, took out a medicine bag, filled it with some fasting pills, some clean clothes, some medicine, and spirit stones, ready to go out and explore. She might be able to find treasures to mend her Dao heart. There were also ways to mend her Dao heart. There was no point in staying on Purple Sand Island, let alone mend her Dao heart and meet Yu Xian. Purple Sand Island was not big, but it was not small either. She might be able to find the world's origin if she stayed in her room and wandered around. She could not beat Yu Xian, so she would not go near her. After checking everything, Ning Shu was ready to leave and hung a "Do Not Disturb" sign at the door. Before leaving, he wanted to visit Elder Duan and get some pills. Yu Xian and Qi Cheng had already left, and Ning Shu saw Elder Duan drinking nonstop. "Get me some healing medicine, I'm going out to train." "Look at you, are you going to explode?" Elder Duan said speechlessly. "I still have some self-restraint, I won't be angered by a junior, but in terms of bearing, you have to learn from me." Ning Shu nodded. "I should learn from you, I'm just too petty. Now I'm going out to see the world." "The outside world is not like Purple Sand Island, ask Oldly for a weapon," Elder Duan said. Ning Shu nodded. "I know, you don't have to be calculative with Qi Cheng's disciple." "You're still thinking about Qi Cheng?" Old Man Duan glanced at Ning Shu. "His disciple is the first obstacle. There are too many things to do. I don't have the time to think about these things. Take good care of yourself." "I'm leaving," Ning Shu said to Old Man Duan. Old Man Duan gave some medicine to Ning Shu. "It's good to go out for a walk. Recently, we've been in need of a lot of medicine to calm the heart and concentrate the mind. Qi Cheng is a very capable disciple. This kind of competition, jealousy, and hatred will hurt his Dao heart." Ning Shu shrugged. "That's why I left. Out of sight, out of mind. Good for nothing. Don't compare yourself to others if you don't have anything to do. Immortal cultivation is like fighting against the heavens. Look further." Old Man Duan probably saw that Ning Shu was about to leave, so he nagged a little more. "Also, when you're outside, don't make enemies." Ning Shu nodded. "I got it." Ning Shu arrived at the seaside. The Purple Sand Island was surrounded by a purple color. It was because of the existence of the purple sand. The weapons refined by the Purple Sand Island were very famous in the entire cultivation world. Ning Shu took out a sword from the spatial ring at his waist, then leaped and flew away on the sword. Ning Shu stood on the sword with one leg and clasped his hands behind his back. His ears were filled with the whistling of the wind. When he looked down, he saw the blue sea water and the sea demons jumping on the surface of the water, big and small. Ning Shu smiled slightly. He felt that he had finally spat out the things that he had been holding in his heart. Ning Shu opened his arms. The feeling of flying on the sword was much better than flying on a plane. The wind was incomparably refreshing. This sea area was very big. Ning Shu switched from standing on the flying sword to sitting on the flying sword. Her 2 legs were swinging. He could vaguely hear a graceful singing voice. When he looked down, he saw the world's mermaid. Carved on the surface of the mermaid, the body of the painting was made of scales. It was a mermaid. Ning Shu stared at the mermaid. It was covered in scales. It wasn't beautiful at all. It let out a gurgling sound and jumped on the water. Ning Shu supported his chin with his hand and looked at the jumping mermaid. Ning Shu pointed his finger and a drop of water appeared in front of him. Ning Shu swallowed it and felt extremely cool. Ning Shu closed his eyes slightly and used his telekinesis to control the flying sword. Then, he closed his eyes and began to cultivate. Cultivating here was more comfortable than on the purple sand island. His heart didn't feel that uncomfortable anymore. After flying for more than 2 days, Ning Shu finally saw land. During this time, he was attacked by the sea demons. Especially the demons that spat out water, they directly squeezed out water pillars to attack him. Ning Shu controlled the flying sword and pointed his finger calmly, using water to attack her. Although there was suppression in the plane, she was still the embodiment of the law of water. These water pillars couldn't hurt Ning Shu at all. Instead, Ning Shu hit these water pillars back, splashing the demons. Some demons were so scared that they sank to the bottom of the water. When he reached land, Ning Shu kept his flying sword and turned into an ordinary-looking woman. He closed his eyes and randomly chose a path. It was all up to fate where he would go. Ning Shu chose a path and walked slowly. The world of cultivation was extremely vast. Ning Shu walked for a long time and didn't see any people. He didn't find a capital city or town. Occasionally, he would encounter some demons. However, these demons weren't strong and Ning Shu was too lazy to fight. After walking for a few days, he finally came across a village. This village was full of ordinary people who rested at sunset. Ning Shu wanted to find a place to rest. The villagers saw that Ning Shu was a woman and refused to take Ning Shu in. There were many demons in the mountains and the villagers were very cautious. Ning Shu turned and left. When he reached the entrance of the village, a little boy in tattered clothes called out to Ning Shu. "Are you a vixen?" The little boy was further away from Ning Shu. He was probably afraid that Ning Shu was a demon in the mountains. Ning Shu turned and looked at the boy. He was barefoot and his clothes were patched up. Ning Shu grimaced. "Do you think there's such an ugly vixen? When a fox is 50 years old, it can transform into a woman. When it's 100 years old, it can become a beauty. When it's a divine shaman, it can know things from 1,000 miles away. It's good at bewitching people and making them lose their minds. When it's 1,000 years old, it can communicate with the heavens and become a heavenly fox. You should be 50 years old now. Otherwise, you'll be a beauty when you're 100 years old." The little boy said seriously. Ning Shu was speechless. He was tricked by a little kid. "Can you turn stone into gold?" The little boy Ning Shu asked. Ning Shu stuck out his tongue and said fiercely, "Be careful or I'll swallow you. I'm willing to use myself as a trade. Can you give me some gold?" The little boy Ning Shu said and knelt on the ground. "Please." Ning Shu was speechless. Why was she thought of as a vixen? "How am I a vixen?" Ning Shu asked. "What do you want gold for?" The child was dressed in tattered clothes and was about 12 or 13 years old. From the way he spoke, he should be a boy who had studied. Could it be that he had read some books about demons in the mountains and was hoping to see a vixen who could turn stone into gold? Chapter 1805. It was said that in ancient times, young men had 2 dreams. When they were poor, they dreamed of the vixen dream, hoping that an enchanting, infatuated, and able to turn stone into gold would save them. Once they achieved success, they would begin to dream of saving a prostitute, thinking that it was their duty to save a beautiful but unfortunate woman who had fallen into prostitution. The 2 things that men liked to do the most were to persuade prostitutes to turn over a new leaf, and to drag a good woman down with them. Ning Shu expressionlessly looked at the little boy who was kneeling not far away, asking him if he was a vixen, if he could turn stone into gold, and if he could give him gold. Ning Shu really did not know what to say. What do you want gold for? Ning Shu had gold and spirit stones. To move around in the secular world, he certainly needed money. For a cultivator, gold and silver could at most be regarded as a kind of metal used for refining equipment. The most valuable thing was the spirit stones that contained spiritual energy. My sister is sick, I want money to invite a doctor. If you can save my sister, I am willing to let you dig out my heart and eat it. Ning Shu swallowed a mouthful of saliva. Eating a raw heart was disgusting. What kind of illness does your sister have? Ning Shu asked. Actually, I am not a vixen, but coincidentally, I know a little bit of medical knowledge. Do you want me to take a look? Only a ghost would take out gold. The boy was skeptical, but then he carefully looked at Ning Shu, and finally clenched his teeth and got up from the ground. Come with me, we will take a small path to my house. We can't let other people in the village see that I brought you into the village. Ning Shu nodded and walked behind the boy, bypassing a small path full of thorns, to the end of the village, in front of a thatched hut. This thatched hut was very shabby, and the door was made of straw. Poor to this extent? Sister, I am back. The boy carefully pushed open the thatched door, fearing that the door would fall apart. Ning Shu followed in and found that the room was quite clean, and there were some books. As soon as he entered, he smelled something unpleasant. There was a little girl lying in the room. The little girl's face was a little dark, as if she had been poisoned. I don't care if you are a vixen or not. Please save my sister. Ever since she came back from the mountain, she has been sick, the boy said anxiously to Ning Shu. Ning Shu removed the blanket, and the stench of maggots gnawing on rotten meat rushed into his nose. Ning Shu sealed his sense of smell so that he could not smell it. This girl was very young, about 8 years old at most. Her face was sallow and her body was emaciated. She looked like she was only 5 or 6 years old. Ning Shu released his spiritual force and checked his internal organs. His internal organs were failing, and they were not bright red, but black and dark. It was as if she had been poisoned by miasma. In the deep mountains and wild forests, the miasma formed by the decay of various plants and animal corpses was poisonous. Moreover, the girl's body had begun to rot, which was contagious. The disease may be contagious. Ning Shu reached out to feel the child's pulse, but when he felt the pulse, he felt that there was an extremely evil feeling in the child's body, and it was transmitted to her body through his hand. In other words, there was a ghost in this girl and she had provoked something unclean. In the world of cultivation, there were monsters in the mountains, immortal cultivation, Buddhist cultivation, devil cultivation, ghost cultivation, all kinds of strange creatures. It's an epidemic. What should we do? My sister will definitely be burned to death by the villagers. The boy was so anxious that he was about to cry. Ning Shu shook his hand to get rid of the cold, evil chi on his hand. You spend time with your sister every day. You haven't been infected, so you may not be infected. Ning Shu said. No, it's not like that because I have something attached to my body. This is what my mother left for me and my sister. My sister always ran to the mountains, so she lost it. The boy took out a sachet. The needlework on the sachet was very exquisite. Ning Shu took it and sniffed it. It should be a Buddhist talisman. There was a lingering sandalwood fragrance on it. It should have been consecrated by a monk with some cultivation. Ning Shu wanted to bring the sachet closer to the girl's body, but the boy immediately grabbed Ning Shu's wrist. Ning Shu looked at him, and the boy immediately let go of Ning Shu's wrist and said, Don't come close. My sister will feel very uncomfortable. I want the gold because I want to invite an immortal to exorcise the evil. Moreover, my sister doesn't let me get close to her. She will be in great pain. I can only say to find a doctor, because if the villagers know that my sister has something unclean on her body, they will definitely burn her to death. This time, the boy told the truth. The immortals are busy pursuing the great Tao. Why would they have time to care about you? The mortal world was meaningless to immortal cultivators. You really know about immortals. Are you really a vixen? Please save my sister. The boy knelt on the ground and knocked his head against the ground again and again. When he raised his head again, his forehead was already bruised. Ning Shu's mouth twitched. Do you have rooster blood, cinnabar, or yellow paper? No, no. My family is really poor. Ever since my parents passed away, my family's livelihood has been cut off. Ning Shu, without any tools, what do you want me to do? Ning Shu thought for a moment. He formed an incantation and set up a huge yang gathering array. The yang qi would be able to wash away the yin qi in his body. It was probably some wandering ghost that bumped into the girl's body. Once the yang gathering array was set up, the girl clearly felt uncomfortable. She frowned and whimpered. In Ning Shu's eyes, her body was emitting black qi. The boy saw his sister's body twitching in pain. He was so anxious that his eyes turned red. Ning Shu stuffed the corner of the blanket into the girl's mouth to prevent her from biting her tongue. Give me some of your blood. The boy was still a virgin. In addition, he was young and vigorous. He was very suitable for writing incantations. The boy did not hesitate. He took a needle and pricked his finger. Ning Shu dipped his finger in the blood and drew an incantation on the girl's forehead. As if the ghost in the body felt danger, a chilly wind blew. Ning Shu drew a talisman and then fiercely slapped the talisman into the girl's forehead. But not long after, the talisman floated out. The wandering ghost was reluctant to leave the girl's body. Ning Shu dipped his finger in blood again. He pulled open the girl's clothes and drew a huge talisman on her chest. The talisman ran from her heart to her abdomen. The girl's body trembled even more violently. The whole bed was about to fall apart. The girl roared in pain and whimpered incoherently for her brother. Ning Shu frowned. It seemed that this ghost was not weak. It was attached to this body. The boy saw his sister in pain and wanted to say that he did not want to cure her. But seeing that Ning Shu was able to draw talismans, he knew that he could not ask for it. Chapter 1806. If he missed this chance, his sister might really be beyond saving. This time, when Ning Shu drew the talisman again, he injected spirit energy and the power of the fire sun, mixed it with the blood of the chicken, and drew it on the little girl's forehead. The little girl's eyes widened, and her body spasmed for a moment. Then she suddenly collapsed. A black qi flew out of the little girl's body and flew away through the window. Ning Shu planned to chase after it because the ghost was wearing something similar to armor. There must be some treasure land nearby, or an immortal cave, or a tomb, because some hidden places would be guarded by some living souls. These living souls would always guard these places. Vixen, what should I do about my sister's injuries? The boy shouted anxiously when he saw Ning Shu running away. Ning Shu took out a detoxification pill and threw it to the boy. Then he shuttled through the mountains, chasing after the living soul in front of him. The living soul had escaped from the body, so it must return to its previous place. Ning Shu felt that there should be something good there. Ning Shu wrapped himself in a water barrier, blocking his figure and smell. This way, the other party would not be able to detect him. Furthermore, it could isolate the miasma. That little girl ran really far. It was amazing that she could run back and not get lost. If there was really some kind of opportunity, she would swallow it if she could. If she couldn't, she would tell the sect. At that time, she would also be able to get a share of the soup. This living soul directly passed through a stone wall. This was a mountain peak that stood tall in the forest. It was incomparably huge, and it was cut in half by something. The cut was very smooth, and it was estimated that this mountain peak should be even higher than it was now. Ning Shu knocked on the stone wall with his hand. The stone wall was solid, so how did the living soul get in? Ning Shu released his mental energy, wanting to invade the stone wall to see what was going on inside. In the end, his mental energy was swallowed up, and he couldn't see anything. Ning Shu touched the stone wall. It was an ordinary stone wall, and there was nothing special about it. Ning Shu walked around the entire huge mountain peak, but he didn't see any place to enter. When he flew up, he only saw that the place where the mountain peak was cut was also a flat stone. Did she really see a ghost just now? She had seen a ghost float into the stone peak with her own eyes. There must be something strange about this, but she hadn't found the key to it yet. Ning Shu took out his flying sword, poured his spirit energy into it, and slashed with all his strength. In the end, it only left a white mark, which was completely useless. If it had been an ordinary rock, this sword strike would have definitely cut a deeper hole in it. Ning Shu felt like he had found a treasure chest, but he didn't have the key to open it. There must be something strange about this mountain, but she didn't know what it was. Sure enough, nothing was too strange in this world. Perhaps there were treasures in front of her, but the problem was that she couldn't get them. Her heart felt stifled. Ning Shu stuck out his butt and flew up and down to observe the huge mountain peak. Cultivation methods were endless. Ning Shu really didn't know what to do. After observing for a while, she would send a message to the sect and have the Purple Sand Island send people over. She would follow behind and drink some soup. It was better than nothing. Ning Shu went back the way he came and returned to the straw hut. The boy came out of the house and saw Ning Shu, and his eyes immediately lit up. Ning Shu said, "Immortal, you're back. It seems like you knew I would come back?" Ning Shu raised his eyebrows. The boy scratched his head and said, "You left in a hurry, you must have chased after something, but you must have some questions to ask me." Ning Shu looked at him from the corner of his eyes. This brat's brain was really active, and he was quite smart. Ning Shu entered the house and sat on a chair. The boy poured tea for Ning Shu, and Ning Shu looked at him. One who had nothing to do was hiding evil intentions, especially a smart brat. "Immortal, please have some tea," the boy said. Ning Shu nodded and took a sip. The water was unexpectedly sweet and delicious, and it also had a trace of spirit energy. Ning Shu drank all the water in one gulp and asked, "How is your sister?" The boy immediately knelt down. "Immortal, please give me another immortal pill, my sister still hasn't woken up." Ning Shu stood up and walked into the house. He saw the little girl lying on the bed with a black face. Although it was better than before, it was still unrecognizable. Ning Shu took out an antidote pill and a fasting pill and stuffed it into her mouth. The fasting pill could ensure that the body had the nutrients it needed. After eating the 2 fasting pills, the little girl's face looked slightly better. The boy suddenly laughed. "Immortal, what do you want to ask? I will definitely tell you everything I know." "Ning Shu, I like this kind of sensible kid. Your village has a bizarre legend." "Well, it's about that broken peak." Although some legends had been processed, there were definitely traces of self-cultivators in them. For such a huge mountain to be cut in half, it must be a powerful cultivator, or else ordinary people wouldn't be able to do it. Let's see what legend was left behind. The boy scratched his head. "You are the Sword Mountain. Actually, there isn't any legend. I only heard it from the elders in the village. This mountain wasn't originally here. I don't know who moved it here. I heard that there is a mass grave under it." A mass grave? It shouldn't be a mass grave. If it was, it should be extremely gloomy, the surrounding magnetic field would be extremely chaotic, and people who walked into this magnetic field would either die or go crazy. Ning Shu was sure that it wasn't a mass grave. This place was so desolate, other than a large-scale war, there wouldn't be so many people buried here. "Other than this, is there anything else?" Ning Shu asked. The boy Ning Shu asked, "What do you want to hear?" "I'll listen to everything," Ning Shu said. The boy thought for a moment and said, "Some villagers also said that in the past, there was a mountain spirit, a demon beast, but this demon beast was extremely strong, it ate all the people nearby. An immortal came to subdue the demon beast, but the demon beast was too strong, so they could only suppress the demon beast under the Sword Mountain." Ning Shu held his chin, listening to these legends. He thought in his heart. Not to mention other things, Ning Shu felt that this mountain was a treasure. But this place was really desolate. The cultivation world was so big, there were many places that were uninhabited. Seeing Ning Shu thinking, the boy didn't dare to disturb him. He took out the only few eggs in the house and prepared to give Ning Shu a look. Ning Shu glanced at one of the eggs. It wasn't small, it was like a goose egg. "Let me see." Ning Shu reached out to the boy and asked casually, "What is your name?" "My name is Yi Hiyu. My father used to be a teacher, he gave me the name Hiyu." Yi Hiyu gave the egg to Ning Shu. Ning Shu held the egg and looked back and forth. His spirit force invaded the eggshell, and then he looked a little surprised. Chapter 1807. Ning Shu did not expect the egg to be a demonic beast's egg. The demonic beast inside was slowly taking shape. Ning Shu injected some spiritual energy into the eggshell. The creature inside the eggshell moved a little, then returned the egg to Yi Hiu. Don't eat this egg. It's a demonic beast. If you can hatch it. Yi Hiu immediately said, since it's a demonic beast, then please accept it. This kid is only a mortal. It's not enough to make a demonic beast submit. This little rascal's mind was too active. Smart guy. Ning Shu supported his chin with one hand and leisurely held the demonic beast egg with the other. He tapped the table from time to time. Yi Hiu's heart trembled. He was afraid that the other party would use a little force and break the eggshell, causing the demonic beast inside to burp. Ning Shu asked, "Where did you find this egg?" "I found it in the forest. We didn't have any food at home, so we went to the mountains to eat," Yi Hiu honestly said. Ning Shu nodded. "Keep it well. Your luck is not bad. It should be a won." Yi Hiu took the egg. He was a little conflicted. An ordinary man's wealth is his own ruin. Although this thing is good, I don't have the ability to protect it. I offer this to the immortal to thank you for saving my sister's life. You're really willing to give it to me? Where did this one egg come from? Although there were wild beasts in this forest, there were no demonic beasts. Maybe there would be some further in. For a wild beast to become a demonic beast, it was the same as for a human to become an immortal cultivator. It was not possible for a normal wild beast. My sister and I are alone. If other immortals want this, we can't do anything. It was fine if he just asked for it, but if he tried to snatch it, he deserved to lose his life. Yi Hiu knelt down and held the egg with both hands. I want to use this thing to exchange for a chance. Please, immortal, bring this kid to the path of immortality. Ning Shu almost could not help but roll his eyes. The path of immortality? The path of immortality? This was not a smooth path, but a path full of death and thorns. It was a path that fought with the heavens for longevity. A human could live for 100 years at most, but a cultivator could live for hundreds or thousands of years. Ning Shu said, "Immortal cultivation is not something you can do just because you want to. First of all, you have to have the root bone, which is an opportunity given by God. Without the root bone, you can only be immortal for the rest of your life. Moreover, once you step onto the path of cultivation, you will have to bid farewell to the mortal world. You will be able to live longer than your sister, and you will be able to watch your loved ones leave one by one." Yi Hiu said, "My parents are dead, and my sister and I depend on each other for survival. If I really embark on the path of cultivation, I will definitely make my sister happy. Life and death are predestined, and I will not live in vain." Ning Shu looked at him. "You're quite open-minded. Immortal, please accept me as your disciple." Yi Hiu Ning Shu kowtowed. This kid was really good at seizing opportunities. "Have you ever thought that maybe you don't have an immortal cultivation root bone, but your sister does?" Ning Shu said with a smile. "That's good too. I can hitch a ride on my sister's coattails, and from then on, I will have a great career in the mortal world," Yi Hiu said. With a fairy sister, he would definitely have a strong backer. Ning Shu: "Young man, is it really okay for you to be so honest? Master, please allow your disciple to serve you." Yi Hiu kowtowed to Ning Shu, his body trembling slightly. It was obvious that he was also afraid. She did not have any disciples under her, and Lan Yuanfeng was also all alone. "I can't accept you as my disciple, but if you are tested to have the potential, I can let you follow me," Ning Shu said. "Thank you, Master." "Don't thank me yet. Let's see if you have the potential to become an immortal." Immortal cultivation starts with the spirit root, and goes through the golden core, nascent soul, return to void, Mahayana, and finally the saint realm. Your will is as firm as a rock, and your heart is extremely firm, unmoved by external factors, Ning Shu said. "Oh, then what should I do?" Yi Hiu asked. Ning Shu took out the spirit root testing Dharma artifact. "Put your hand on it." "Do I just have to put my hand on it?" Yi Tianhe asked nervously. This concerned his future. Even Yi Tianhe, who always pretended to be mature and prudent, was nervous. Try it. Ning Shu nodded. He propped up his chin and looked at Yi Tianhe, whose forehead was covered in sweat. Master, can we test it later? Yi Tianhe wiped the sweat from his palms on his body. Sure. Ning Shu was about to put the Dharma artifact away. No, Master, I'll test it now. Yi Hiyu was afraid that Ning Shu would go back on his word. Ning Shu looked at him silently. Yi Tianhe swallowed a mouthful of saliva. Ning Shu looked at the bright red flames in the Dharma artifact. Then there was a hint of green in it. You can open your eyes now, Ning Shu said. Yi Hiyu looked at Ning Shu. Ning Shu nodded. You have the fire spirit root, but you also have the wood spirit root. You will focus on the fire spirit root in the future. Thank you, Master. Yi Hiyu immediately knelt down. Ning Shu gave an nth sound and took out the cultivation jade piece. He knew that Yi Hiyu did not know how to invade the spiritual consciousness into the jade piece, so he taught him little by little how to meditate and how to draw qi into the body. Being able to enter another world, Yi Hiyu was very excited. He also respected his master, Ning Shu. Ning Shu gave the egg to Yi Hiyu. When you cultivate, take this egg with you. You can inject some spiritual qi into it. Birds have their own nestlings. In the future, this Luan bird will follow you. It can also be used as a means of transportation. Yi Hiyu quickly cupped his hands. Thank you, Master. You seem to know a lot about immortal cultivation. Ning Shu looked at Yi Hiyu. Yi Hiyu said, Father has a lot of books. This disciple has read all of them. Ning Shu gave an sound and gave Yi Hiyu a sword. I came out this time to travel. When the matter of the Broken Sword Mountain is settled, I will bring you back to the sect. Yi Hiyu took out a book and gave it to Ning Shu. This is the information my father found. It is also about the Broken Sword Mountain. Ning Shu, sure enough, this was a slippery kid. Why didn't he take it out before? However, having a brain was better than not having one. A smart person would always have a better life than an idiot. Ning Shu flipped through the book. The book was about the situation of the Broken Sword Mountain. For example, the stone walls of the Broken Sword Mountain were impenetrable. Moreover, there were signs of living creatures around the Broken Sword Mountain. They all avoided the Broken Sword Mountain. There were ghosts haunting it. Ning Shu closed the book. Why did your father investigate this? He suddenly felt that this slippery kid's father was not an ordinary person. My father is an ordinary scholar. My mother passed away early. My father is a teacher in the village. He usually likes to study some mountain spirits and immortals. He is preparing to write a book. Yi Hiyu said. Ning Shu felt that this kid wanted to write about a peerless beauty that jumped out of a boulder. However, Yi Hiyu's spiritual roots made Ning Shu a little surprised. After all, for ordinary people, 1 in 100,000 would be considered not bad. Moreover, Yi Hiyu's fire spiritual root was quite strong. Although Yi Hiyu had dual spiritual roots, the fire spiritual root mixed with the wood spiritual root, the wood spiritual root was obviously not as strong as the fire spiritual root. Chapter 1808. Generally speaking, if a person with spiritual roots married another person with spiritual roots, the chances of their offspring having spiritual roots would be higher. My father likes to study these kinds of weird things. He always says that there are treasures in them. Yi Hiyu said, if something was abnormal, there must be something fishy. Perhaps there were treasures. The little girl who had eaten the antidote woke up. Her face was pale without a trace of blood, and there was no flesh on her face. Her eyes were lifeless. Yi Hiyu poured some water for her to drink. Little sister, Master saved you. Call him Master. Yi Hiyu helped his little sister up and hurriedly said, Master, can you see if Meiyu can cultivate? Ning Shu, let your little sister recuperate well. Ning Shu took out a pill, let her eat it. The brother and sister's names were Hiyu and Meiyu. Master, can you see if my little sister has spiritual roots? If she had spiritual roots, it would be great. This way, he would not have to be separated from his little sister in the future. Ning Shu took out a magic tool. Try it. Put your hand on it. Yi Hiyu put his little sister's hand on the magic tool. Ning Shu glanced at it. She has spiritual roots, but they are mixed spiritual roots. Penta spiritual roots. As long as she has spiritual roots, Yi Heyu rubbed his hands excitedly. Master, please accept my little sister as your disciple. We siblings are lonely and have no one to rely on. We will definitely treat Master like a mother and serve you. Yi Heyu kowtowed to Ning Shu. Ning Shu reached out her hand and patted Yi Heyu's shoulder. You have a glib tongue. Scholars are indeed different. Disciple is speaking the truth. Yi Heyu said sincerely. Accepting a disciple is not so casual. The path of cultivation is not easy. We will talk about accepting a disciple in the future. Ning Shu waved his hand and took out the magic tool used by the sect to send messages to the sect. With her ability, if she could not do anything about it, then she would use the sect's power. While waiting for the sect's people to come, Ning Shu taught the siblings how to draw spiritual energy into their bodies. In the meantime, he went to Broken Sword Mountain to see if there was anything strange about it. Then, Ning Shu studied it for a long time, but he didn't find anything. Ning Shu suspected that his eyes were playing tricks on him. It was just an ordinary mountain. If it was really an ordinary mountain, why couldn't she split it open? Moreover, even his spiritual power and divine sense had been devoured, which meant that this was not an ordinary thing. Ning Shu kicked the stone wall, and as a result his leg bones cracked. However, in front of Yi Heyu, his expression did not change. Yi Heyu asked, Master, do you also believe that there are treasures inside? Ning Shu put on a serious face and gently swung his legs. Of course I do. Ning Shu had used all kinds of methods, but he still couldn't do anything to these things. Moreover, Ning Shu's chi had sunk into his dantian. He wanted to move the entire mountain, but it was useless. Cultivators could split mountains, move mountains, and fill seas. But now, she couldn't even move a mountain. How embarrassing! Yi Heyu. Master, why don't we head back? Yi Heyu looked at Ning Shu and said, What's the point of competing with a mountain? If there is no way, then there is no way. Ning Shu grabbed Yi Heyu's collar, threw him behind him, and flew away on his sword. Meiyu's body was much better. She stood at the door and looked around. When she saw the person flying in the air, she let out a cry. Ning Shu steadily stopped. Brother, Master. Meiyu was also obedient. Her brother told her to call him Master, so she called him Master. Ning Shu put away his sword and said to the two of them, You two also have to quickly draw in chi into your body. When the time comes, the Purple Sand Island will send people over. If you have a bit of strength, then you can follow behind and pick up some good things. Thank you, Master. Yi Heyu immediately cupped his hands and said, It was good that he had recruited a talent for the Purple Sand Island. Moreover, although Yi Heyu was a scholar, he was not stupid. Ning Shu waved his hand at Meiyu. Your aptitude is not as good as your brother's. I will teach you a new set of secret manuals. A peerless martial art did not care about aptitude or spirit root. Meiyu looked at her brother. Yi Heyu immediately nodded. Meiyu said, Thank you, Master. Ning Shu guided the two children in their cultivation. Then he calmed down and cultivated. During this time, Ning Shu did not take any pills to calm the heart and concentrate the spirit. The resentment in his heart seemed to have disappeared. Ning Shu did not think that it had disappeared. Her Tao heart had not been repaired at all. It was just that he did not have time to think about these things. His mood was calm. After waiting for more than 10 days, Ning Shu finally waited for the people from the Purple Sand Island to come. Ning Shu waited at the door. In the end, he saw Qi Cheng. Qi Cheng also brought his disciple. Ning Shu, did the other people from the Purple Sand Island not do it on purpose? They had actually sent Qi Cheng. Qi Cheng slowly descended from his flying sword. He cupped his fists at Ning Shu. Junior sister, the sect master sent me to check on the situation here. Ning Shu returned the gesture. This is Elder Qi. Hurry up and greet him, the two children behind Ning Shu said. Elder Qi. The two children were obedient. They did whatever Ning Shu asked them to do. Junior sister, these two children? Qi Cheng raised his eyebrows. Ning Shu smiled and said, "These two children have spirit roots." Qi Cheng nodded and took out 2 Dharma artifacts. This is the peacock plume. It is suitable for girls. This is the red silk soft rattan spear. Take it. This is a gift from your uncle master to the younger generation. Ning Shu smiled at the 2 children. From the beginning to the end, Ning Shu ignored Yu Xian, who was standing beside Qi Cheng. "I can't afford to offend you, so I'll ignore you." Qi Cheng took the initiative to introduce his disciple. "This is Yu Xian, your senior sister. Get along well." "Senior sister." The 2 children bowed. Yu Xian grunted in acknowledgement. She seemed a little arrogant. Yi Heyu was fine, but Yi Meiyu seemed a little reserved. Yu Xian was dazzling, but she was wearing tattered clothes. As a girl, she was much more sensitive in this kind of comparison. "Senior brother, let me tell you the details." Ning Shu brought the 2 into the house. The house was not luxurious. Yu Xian frowned but did not say anything. She took out a cushion from her mesen space and placed it on a stool before sitting down. Ning Shu rolled her eyes and told Qi Cheng the details. Qi Cheng thought for a moment and asked, "Do you think there's something inside Broken Sword Mountain?" "It's because living souls have entered it. Ghosts sometimes find places to stay. Maybe that mountain is just a place for ghosts to stay," Yu Xian said indifferently. "I'm talking to your master. Why are you interrupting?" Ning Shu said, "You are just a loser who thinks that you have found some treasure. Jiang Xuetzi, if I can beat you up once, I can beat you up again." Yu Xian looked at Ning Shu as though she was a clown who was jumping up and down. Chapter 1809. Eoshuan's words were very rude, which shocked the 2 children. Yi Heyu frowned and looked at Yu Xian. Yi Meiyu shrank back a bit, probably because she had never seen such a strong girl. Due to the rejection and comparison between the same sex, Yi Meiyu was suppressed by Yu Xian. "Even in terms of strength, I have more authority than you. Don't talk about seniority. Seniority is just an illusory thing," Yu Xian said coldly. Ning Shu smiled. "Okay, you say it, I won't say it." Qi Cheng was a bit helpless. "You child." Ning Shu said, "Junior sister, tell us about the situation at Broken Sword Peak." "You say it." Ning Shu said to Yi Heyu. Compared to his sister, Yi Heyu's performance was remarkable. Yi Heyu cupped her hands and told Qi Cheng about the situation at Broken Sword Peak. Yi Heyu followed Ning Shu a while ago and learned about the situation from Ning Shu. Yi Heyu didn't hide anything, because her master said that if there was really something good, they could follow behind and pick up some good stuff. Qi Cheng thought for a bit, that's a bit strange. But if there really is something strange, why hasn't anyone discovered it for so long? Qi Cheng said. According to the locust-like temperament of cultivators, if there really was something good, how could it be left behind until now? Elder, it's because we're remote and desolate here. Not a single person comes to the village all year round. Yi Heyu said. Okay, we should go take a look at the situation now. Qi Cheng flew on his sword and Yu Xian followed her master. Ning Shu put the 2 children on his flying sword and followed the 2 in front of him, flying towards Broken Sword Peak. Broken Sword Peak was very obvious in the whole forest, standing tall in the forest. Everyone stopped around the Broken Sword Peak. Qi Cheng released his powerful divine sense, but his divine sense was absorbed by the stone wall, not even a little bit was taken back. Qi Cheng nodded in surprise and used his flying sword to hack at the mountain, only leaving a few shallow white marks. What kind of stone is this? Qi Cheng touched the stone wall and carefully felt the stone wall, feeling the fluctuations of spiritual energy. There are no spiritual energy fluctuations. I don't think it is a magic artifact, Qi Cheng said, shaking his head. Brute force definitely won't be able to break through the stone walls. Ning Shu looked at the broken mountain peak. There was actually someone who could break through the entire mountain peak. How strong was that person? Master, let me give it a try. Yu Xian took out her Ho-Yi bow and floated in the air. Ning Shu took the 2 children and retreated, waiting for Yu Xian to show her might. Yu Xian pulled her bow into a full moon shape. The arrow was very powerful, and the friction between the arrow and the air created a whistling sound. With a ding sound, the arrowhead sunk into the stone wall. However, it was only the arrowhead that had sunk into the wall. The body of the arrow continued to tremble. Yi Yuxian frowned. That shouldn't be the case. Her Hou-Yi bow was extremely powerful. It should be able to pierce through the entire mountain. Moreover, she cultivated the Shinto Dao. Compared to ordinary cultivators, the Shinto Dao was much more powerful. Ning Shu smacked his lips. She had already used all kinds of methods, but she was still unable to break through the sword peak. Yi Yuxian saw Ning Shu's expression. He seemed to be very disdainful. She immediately aimed the arrow at Ning Shu. She pulled the bow fully. If her fingers were to let go, the arrow would turn her into minced meat. The huge force would cause people to explode. Yi Hiyu stood in front of Ning Shu and cupped his hands towards Yi Yuxian. Senior sister, what is the meaning of this? Ning Shu looked at Yi Hiyu, who was standing in front of him. He was not even as tall as her. Did he really think that he could block Yi Yuxian's arrow? Ning Shu pushed Yi Hiyu behind him and looked at Yi Yuxian. What's wrong with you? What's wrong with you? I can't break through the mountain peak. Then can you? Yi Yuxian looked down at Ning Shu from above. When did I say I could break it? Ning Shu was expressionless. He was simply speechless. Okay, stop messing around. Qi Qing stood in between Yi Yuxian and Ning Shu. He was afraid that the two would have a conflict. Ning Shu was a bit speechless. Why was Yi Yuxian paying attention to him? They tried all kinds of methods, but seeing that the sky was already dark, they could only return home. Back at the thatched hut, everyone was silent. There were only a few benches in the house. Ning Shu and Qi Qing sat on them while the two children stood. Ning Shu said, "Find a clean place to sit down." "Yes, master." Yi Hiyu nodded and sat down with his sister. Qi Qing said, "Although this sword peak is rare, the world is big. There are many rare things. Even us cultivators are frogs at the bottom of the well. If we can't break it, others can't either." Yi Yuxian felt that this mountain peak was somewhat familiar. She felt that she had seen it somewhere before. Yi Yuxian frowned, trying to recall where she had seen this mountain peak before. That's right. Yi Yuxian slapped her thigh. She seemed to have this mountain peak in her senfu. Moreover, it seemed to be the upper part of this mountain peak that was cut off. It was in her senfu. No wonder it looked familiar. What was the connection between the two? Yi Yuxian decided to investigate the origin of this mountain in her senfu. She also wanted to know why the upper part of this mountain appeared in her senfu. Who moved it here? Ning Shu looked at Yi Yuxian's expression and frowned. This opportunity couldn't be Yi Yuxian's, right? Looking at Yi Yuxian's expression, it must be related to Yi Yuxian. Anyway, Yi Yuxian must have the key to the treasure. Ning Shu didn't say a word. It would be best if it could be opened. The thing that they found with great difficulty might fly away and become someone else's opportunity. Yi Yuxian said to Qi Qing, "Master, I want to go out for a while." Qi Qing wasn't worried. Yi Yuxian was very strong. He nodded and said, "Be careful. Come back early. If something happens, crush the jade pendant. I will rush over." Yi Yuxian nodded and went out. She rode on her flying sword and disappeared into the darkness. Ning Shu looked at the direction Yi Yuxian disappeared. Yi Yuxian couldn't have gone to Broken Sword Mountain, right? Did Yi Yuxian find a solution? She was going to take the entire Broken Sword Mountain. If she followed behind, she wouldn't even get to eat dirt. If that was the case, Yi Yuxian would be strong again. It didn't matter if she was strong. If she really took it all, Ning Shu would curse in his heart. Ning Shu couldn't sit still anymore. He prepared to go to Broken Sword Mountain to take a look. "You two stay here. I will be back soon," Ning Shu said to the two children. Yi Hiyu immediately said, "Master, be careful." Ning Shu nodded and flew towards Broken Sword Peak. Seeing this, Qi Qing also followed. Ning Shu hurried to Broken Sword Mountain. In the end, Broken Sword Mountain was still gone. Ning Shu jumped down from the sword and looked at Yi Yuxian in bewilderment. Chapter 1810. Where did Broken Sword Peak go? Ning Shu asked Yu Xian. Such a huge mountain was taken away, Yu Xian must be able to pierce through the sky. It just disappeared. Yu Xian shrugged casually, but there was an unconcealable smile on her face. She was very confident and answered Ning Shu's question half-heartedly. Ning Shu was speechless. Ning Shu couldn't help but want to beat his chest. Oh my god, my inner demon is acting up. Soon after, Chi-Ching also arrived. He was very surprised as he looked at the disappeared Broken Sword Peak. Where is the mountain? Master, I don't know. When I arrived, the mountain was already gone. I suspect that someone moved it away. Ning Shu's face was expressionless. He carried a huge mountain and disappeared in an instant. Are you kidding me? Obviously, Chi-Ching wasn't an idiot. This Broken Sword Peak wasn't that easy to carry away. With the strength of the three of them, they couldn't move it. Moreover, Chi-Ching believed that his strength wasn't weak, but he couldn't even move an inch of the mountain. Someone who suddenly appeared and ran away carrying a huge mountain? Really? Chi-Ching didn't believe it. Yu Xian couldn't help but say, Master, don't you believe me? What do you think I can do to a mountain? Chi-Ching felt that although his disciple's strength was not bad, it was still impossible for her to make a mountain disappear. Ning Shu really wanted to smash Chi-Ching's head with a hammer. It was obviously Yu Xian. If it wasn't Yu Xian, who else could it be? Ning Shu didn't feel good. Do you want to chase? Yu Xian asked Chi-Ching. Chi-Ching looked at the dark surroundings. It was nighttime, where could he find it? How could he explain to the sect master that the mountain disappeared? Ning Shu was even more expressionless. Where could he find it? Yu Xian was really interesting. There are no traces left, and it's not easy to follow. Do you have any clues? Chi-Ching asked Yu Xian. Yu Xian was the first to arrive. Yu Xian shook her head. It disappeared when I came here. I don't know how it disappeared. Chi-Ching couldn't help but want to scratch his head. Even if he saw a ghost, it wouldn't be so bizarre. Ning Shu clutched his chest. Io. My heart's devil is acting up. I didn't even see what was inside before it disappeared. Yu Xian took it away. If this thing could be taken away by the ring, she would have done so long ago. This feeling of working for someone else and not even getting paid for it was really fucking annoying. Ning Shu said, maybe someone took it away with a mess in space. Otherwise, there's no way to explain the sudden disappearance of the mountain and the fact that you were the only one there. You suspect that I took it away. Which eye of yours saw me take it away? You have to be responsible for what you say. Yu Xian frowned. How can you say that I took it away just based on your assumption? Is there something wrong with your brain? If there's something wrong with your head, don't open your mouth and speak nonsense. Yu Xian looked at Ning Shu fearlessly. She had already kept the item in the Senfu, and these people would not be able to find it. Forget it, stop messing around. Since there's no evidence, then stop messing around. Chi-Ching said. Ning Shu just wanted to roll his eyes. Chi-Ching only knew how to say, forget it, stop messing around. Ning Shu felt a little annoyed. I've already informed the sect. Now that the item is gone, and it disappeared after the two of you came. How are we going to explain this to the sect? The item is gone. What can we do? In the end, you're still suspecting that I took the mountain away. What a fool's dream. Why don't you just say that the item went to heaven? Yu Xian said arrogantly. Since ancient times, treasures had always belonged to the capable. Ning Shu looked at Yu Xian silently. I think you're the one who went to heaven. All right, stop messing around. Chi-Ching said again. Ning Shu said directly, other than saying stop messing around, can't you say something else? Even if you're not annoyed, I'm annoyed. What's the use of this nonsense? What's the solution? Ning Shu knew what Yu Xian was planning. She was just pretending to be a pig to eat the tiger. She had nothing to do with Ning Shu, so she could secretly get rich. But this item was reported to the sect by her, so it belonged to the sect. Most importantly, Yu Xian didn't even want to let anyone else have a taste of it. She wanted to swallow everything by herself. Why are you messing around with my master? It's not like she took it away. If you suspect her, I suspect you. According to your logic, everyone here is a suspect. Yu Xian protected her master. Ning Shu just laughed. What's the use of being angry? Since we're all suspects, then let's go back to the sect and accept the sect's investigation. This item belongs to the sect now. I was the one who reported it. Whoever takes it is a thief. A thief who steals without asking. Look at you. You're saying that my master and I are thieves. Show me the evidence. Yu Xian said coldly, if I can hit you once, I can hit you twice. Don't jump around like a clown. This temper of mine. Ning Shu put his hands on his waist. I'm jumping around. Now we're talking about Broken Sword Mountain. I suspect that Broken Sword Mountain is actually the ruins of an ancient Shinto sect. There wasn't only one ancient Shinto sect. Just like how there were many immortal sects now, it's just that no one knew why they declined. Some Shinto techniques weren't something that current immortal cultivators could break. One was an immortal cultivator, the other was a god cultivator. There was no comparison. When Ning Shu said that Broken Sword Mountain was the ruins of a Shinto sect, Eoshuan's face flashed with a hint of strangeness. But it disappeared in an instant. Ning Shu had been paying attention to Yu Xian. When he saw that fleeting expression, he was almost certain that Yu Xian really took the item away. She couldn't be compared to someone with cheats. A Shinto sect? Qi Cheng's expression turned serious. If it was really a Shinto sect, then whether it was the secret manuals, pills, or weapons of the Shinto sect, they were all things that immortal cultivators of this era yearned for even in their dreams. Maybe a pill could change one's foundation. A secret manual could create an expert. Moreover, there were all kinds of treasures from ancient times. You can't be sure that it's something from an ancient Shinto sect. If it really was, would you even be able to find it? Yu Xian sneered, don't exaggerate things too much. How big is this world? No one can pat their chest and guarantee that they know everything. Ning Shu patted his chest. This was a classic example of acting innocent after getting a bargain. Did she think that others couldn't do anything to her? Did she think that the item was in her senfu and no one else could do anything about it? Chapter 1811. It was so frustrating to deal with such a person. He couldn't beat her and couldn't do anything to her. He was about to explode on the spot. Ning Shu chanted the clear heart incantation in his heart to suppress the irritation in his heart. This feeling was due to the remnant thoughts entrusted to him. A cultivator's divine sense was strong. Even if he died, there would still be remnant thoughts in his body. Ning Shu inhaled and exhaled again. I don't know if this mountain is the ruins of a Shinto sect, but it's never wrong to study such things. Now that it has disappeared, what do you think we should do? Ning Shu spoke to Qi Cheng and didn't want to talk to Yu Xian. I can't afford to offend you. I won't talk to you. What do I do? Qi Cheng almost fainted from Ning Shu's words. How would he know what to do? Now that the thing was gone, he said, just say it directly. Oh, a mountain has disappeared. Do you think the sect master will believe it? Ning Shu was expressionless. After all this talk, you just think that I took it? Yu Xian drew her bow fully and pointed the arrow at Ning Shu. Show me the evidence. Otherwise, I won't let you slander me like this. You just want to take revenge and push all the blame on me. My bad temper. Ning Shu said directly, shoot if you have the ability. Shoot. Eoshuan's expression turned cold. She pulled the string of the Ho-I bow to its fullest and shot an arrow at Ning Shu. Ning Shu spun his body and dodged the arrow. The arrow turned around and flew back at Ning Shu. Ning Shu's expression was serious. He took out his flying sword. The arrow and the sword collided. The flying sword was directly broken by the Ho-I bow. The arrow went straight for Ning Shu's forehead. Ning Shu grabbed the arrow. His hand felt like it was splashed with hot oil. Ning Shu was sent flying in the air by the arrow. The arrow was extremely fast. Ning Shu's face was ferocious from the strong wind. Ning Shu was speechless. Yu Xian looked indifferently at Qi Cheng, who was flying around in the sky, and said helplessly, you little girl, don't be naughty. She's still your martial aunt. Don't embarrass your elders like this. Qi Cheng ignored Ning Shu, who was flying around in the sky, and lectured his disciple. Yu Xian crossed her arms. She's acting like an elder. She's targeting me because I defeated her previously. That's why she's holding a grudge against me. She's trying to frame me. Don't tell me you won't allow her to hate you? Qi Cheng said helplessly. That's why I have to beat her until she's scared of me. In the future, she'll take a detour whenever she sees me. She won't dare to come and find trouble with me. As Yu Xian spoke, she took out another arrow and aimed it at Ning Shu, who was flying in the air. The corners of Eo Xuan's mouth curled up slightly. She seemed to be very scheming. She had just gotten something good and was in a good mood. She was going to teach this talkative woman a lesson. She always wanted to splash dirty water on her. Today, she would teach this woman a lesson. She deserved to die because she was weak. She didn't want to spout nonsense. Ning Shu turned around and saw Yu Xian aiming at him. It seemed like she wanted to kill him. Ning Shu grabbed the arrow with both hands and forced it to stop. Yu Xian smiled. She loosened her grip on the bow and arrow, and the arrow flew towards Ning Shu. Ning Shu's hair fluttered in the wind. His eyes reflected the arrow that was flying towards him. Ning Shu took in a deep breath and threw the arrow in his hand towards the arrow that was flying towards him. The arrow was covered with the energy of a peerless martial art. The two arrows collided. With a ding sound, both arrows fell to the ground. Using one's own spear to attack one's shield. Eo Xuan's expression didn't change. She took out another god equipment. It was a sword. The hilt of this sword was decorated with luxurious patterns. The moment this sword appeared, the air vibrated with sword sounds. It was filled with sword energy. How despicable! An endless stream of god equipment. Ning Shu searched his body. He didn't find any good equipment. Of course, it couldn't be compared to Eo Xuan's. Eo Xuan's Senfu had all sorts of weapons. She had all 18 types of weapons, and all of them were god equipment. Damn it. How was he going to fight? But why not fight? Even if he had to die, he would fight. If he really couldn't, he would die together with her. Yu Xian held her sword and faced Ning Shu. Yu Xian drew a beautiful sword flower. Ning Shu attacked. Ning Shu took down the red satin bell on his waist. It was a piece of red silk with 2 bells tied to each end. This was a pretty good equipment. The person who commissioned it was also looking for a destiny equipment. However, he didn't find a suitable one. The divine sword in Eo Xuan's hand slashed out a sharp sword chi, directly cutting Ning Shu's red silk bell in half. Ning Shu, damn it. If it was a natal dharma artifact, it would definitely vomit blood if it was cut in half like this. Without a weapon to protect himself, Ning Shu wanted to fight with Eo Xuan's god equipment with his bare hands. He didn't feel good. Ning Shu sank his chi into his dantian and released a stream of chi force. It was a dragon-shaped chi force. The dragon-shaped energy rose from Ning Shu's back. A spiritual energy dragon roared towards the sky. It looked very lifelike, and its eyes seemed to have spirituality. Yu Xian frowned. She looked at the monster that was charging towards her. It looked like a dragon, but it also looked like a demonic beast. Yu Xian didn't dare to be careless. She slashed out a strong sword energy and broke the spiritual energy water dragon in half. Ning Shu pointed with his finger. The water dragon that was cut in half returned to its original form. It roared silently and charged towards Yu Xian. Yu Xian glanced at Ning Shu, who was floating in the air. You are more capable than before. But it is still not enough. Yu Xian slashed out a few more sword energy and cut the energy dragon into pieces. Ning Shu shrugged his shoulders and released more spiritual energy. The spiritual energy dragon that was cut in half recovered and was even bigger than before. Interesting. Yu Xian said calmly. She looked at the huge spiritual energy dragon and pursed her lips. She kept her sword and took out a bottle. She opened the bottle and a thick flame poured out. The moment the flame touched the dragon-shaped energy, it started to burn brightly. It wanted to burn the spiritual energy to nothing. This is the Xiantian true fire. It can burn everything in the world, including spiritual energy. Yu Xian said calmly. She took out another bottle. This is the Red Lotus Karmic Fire. It uses the 7 emotions and 6 desires of all living things as fuel. The more sins one commits, the stronger the fire will be. Yu Xian took out another bottle. This is the 9 heavens godly wind fire. It can burn everything. It is similar to wind, but it is also fire. It can burn everything. Everything that it blows past will turn into nothingness. Ning Shu, wow, so powerful. So many treasures. Ning Shu felt that the spiritual energy water dragon was about to be burned to nothing. Furthermore, she couldn't retract her spiritual energy. Otherwise, the fire would touch her body. This time, Ning Shu was convinced. One type of fire was enough, but he even took out 3 types of fire. Chapter 1812. Moreover, the flames Yu Xian took out were stronger than the previous ones. Especially the 9 heavens godly wind fire, they were usually in the air. This bottle could combine the 9 heavens godly wind fire. It was also a treasure. Who knew if it was real? The spiritual energy in the air was being burned by the Xiantian true fire and was almost burnt to ashes. Ning Shu and Yu Xian stood facing each other. Yu Xian played with the bottle in her hand, which contained all kinds of flames. If Ning Shu casually touched any kind of flame, even her soul would be incinerated in the end. Ning Shu let out a long breath. Yu Xian curled her lips, looking noble and cold. Do you feel powerless? No matter what you do, it will be useless. Yes, very powerless. It was not powerless against Yu Xian, but against a Shinto sect's foundation. She was dealing with a Shinto sect's foundation. Yu Xian had all kinds of cheats. What the fuck? Alright, stop messing around. Qi Cheng rubbed his forehead. Seeing that his disciple was strong and had treasures, he felt gratified but also speechless. Distemper. But he could not do anything to her in the future. Only others would suffer, no one would bully her. In the cultivation world, the strong preyed on the weak. Ning Shu rolled his eyes. Stop messing around. Qi Cheng was online again. Every time, he would say stop messing around. This attitude was really annoying. It's useless even if you fight like this. Qi Cheng said. Since there are no more things, let's go back to the sect. Ning Shu snorted and turned to leave. Qi Cheng looked at Yu Xian and said, don't take these things out in the future. It will attract people's attention and make them jealous. Master, are you jealous? Yu Xian asked. Although she was facing her master, Yu Xian was still a straightforward person. Qi Cheng choked and said helplessly, I am your master. I won't covet my disciples' things. Keep these things well. If you have the ability, I, as your master, will also be proud. Thank you, master. Although Yu Xian said this, she didn't take it to heart. She had a lot of pills and artifacts, so she didn't need to hide them. If she didn't use them, then they would lose their effect. Ning Shu returned to the thatched cottage. Yi Hiu was waiting for Ning Shu. Yi Meiyu was already sleeping in the inner room. Yi Hiu hurriedly poured tea for Ning Shu. Seeing that Ning Shu's expression was not good, he asked, Master, did something happen? Ning Shu drank a bowl of water and calmly said, Broken sword peak is gone. At first, Yi Hiu didn't react to what Ning Shu said, and then asked, What? Jian Duanfeng disappeared. Yes, they disappeared. Ning Shu supported his chin and looked at the master and disciple who walked into the room. Qi Cheng said, We'll return to the sect tomorrow morning. Ning Shu didn't have any opinion. He originally came out to travel and found 2 disciples. It wasn't easy for him to have a fortuitous encounter, but in the end, it was all for someone else. Ning Shu still didn't understand how Yu Xian took away such a big mountain. Yu Xian saw that Ning Shu was staring at him and narrowed his eyes. His eyes were filled with killing intent. Do you want to fight? Ning Shu smiled, sure. Alright, stop messing around. Qi Cheng felt a headache. Stop messing around, this expert must be here to be a joke. However, Qi Cheng's strength was very strong, so he usually didn't fight. Every time, it's your disciple who fights first. I hope your disciple can defeat everyone in the world. Your disciple is the strongest, no one can defeat Yu Xian. Yu Xian sneered, appearing to be very disdainful. Even if I can't defeat everyone, I can still defeat you. Ning Shu smiled. So what if you defeat me? I'm just a nobody. Yu Xian ignored Ning Shu and looked at a corner of the room. She didn't even look at Ning Shu. Yi Hiu felt that the atmosphere was awkward and oppressive, so he said, Master, do you want to take a rest? Ning Shu nodded and transmitted a message to Yi Hiu. Don't provoke Yu Xian. Yi Hiu was still a rookie and hadn't matured yet. Yu Xian could kill Yi Hiu with a single breath. Moreover, Yi Hiu wasn't a cheater. When Yi Hiu heard Ning Shu's message, his expression didn't change as he said, Master, you can go and squeeze with sister. Ning Shu nodded. Yi Hiu then said to Qi Cheng, Disciple's family is poor. Elder Qi, please rest in Disciple's room. No need. The sun would rise after sitting down. There was no need to rest. Yi Hiu didn't say anything else and diligently sat at the door. Ning Shu sat cross-legged on the bed and began to cultivate. Her dragon-shaped Qi force was burned away by the fire, and she didn't manage to recover even a little bit of spirit Qi. Now he needed to cultivate or he wouldn't be able to fight back against Yu Xian. What Yu Xian showed now was just a drop in the ocean. Who knew what else was coming? One moment it was a bow, the next it was a sword. Would it be a saber or some other god tool? The entire Purple Sand Island probably couldn't compare to Senfu's foundation. How could it compare to a Shinto sect? And now Yu Xian got Broken Sword Mountain. Who knew what other treasures there were inside? If Yu Xian were to obtain another Divine Dao sect's treasure trove, then Yu Xian would simply ascend to heaven. As Ning Shu cultivated, she felt uneasy in her heart. She took out a pill that could calm her heart and spirit and ate it. He hadn't eaten this in a while. Now he had to eat it again. Even if he didn't want to, he had to be entangled. Ning Shu felt that the heavens wanted to anger him to death. The things he found were directly taken away by Yu Xian. It was all Eoshuan's luck. He didn't even give you a mouthful of soup. Anger you to death, anger you to death. You can't beat him, so you want to steal his things. If you have the ability, then go and seek death. Ning Shu smiled. I'm not angry at all, not angry. The next morning, everyone was ready to go back to Purple Sand Island. The two siblings were very nervous. They were about to start a new life and go to a strange place. Yi Hiu held the bird egg and protected his sister. He stood behind Ning Shu and soared in the sky. Below them, there was an unbroken chain of mountains. It was an eye-opener for them. Being an immortal, free and unfettered. Yu Xian glanced at the egg in Yi Hiu's hand. Then she retracted her gaze and looked back. Ning Shu said, Give the egg to Master. When we return to Orchid Mountain, Master will give it to you. Why was Yu Xian, who had countless treasures, looking at the egg? Yi Hiu didn't say anything and gave the egg to Ning Shu. Ning Shu put the egg in his space. Yu Xian arrogantly looked away. She just felt that the egg was a bit strange and looked at it a bit more. Petty, afraid that someone would steal it. Chapter 1813. Yu Xian saw how stingy Ning Shu was. She kept the egg as if someone wanted to snatch it from her. How stingy. She had everything she wanted except for an egg. She had a basket of such eggs in her senfu. It was just that after a long time, these eggs had spoiled. Thus, when she saw the egg that showed signs of movement, she took a second look and kept it. Yu Xian was filled with disdain. She increased her speed and flew to the front. Ning Shu ignored Eoshuan's disdain. My disciples' things are always like this. I just don't want to show you. It's not like I ran in front of you and opened your pocket to see what's inside. Master. Yi Hiu called out to Ning Shu. Ning Shu grunted, What's wrong? Yi Hiu wanted to say something, but she did not open her mouth. Ning Shu focused on controlling the flying sword. The master and disciple in front ran very fast. Ning Shu leisurely followed behind. This was the first time the two disciples flew so far. What if they fainted? They flew slowly. However, he could not let the two people in front run away. Ning Shu arranged an enchantment around the two disciples to prevent them from falling down. After flying for more than 3 days, they finally reached the surface of the sea. This was the first time the two siblings saw such a vast sea. In an era where transportation was difficult, how many people could walk out of their houses and look at the scenery outside? It was time-consuming and dangerous, especially in a world with so many mountain spirits. Brother, there are so many fish. Huge fish. Yi Meiyu pointed below and exclaimed. She was so excited that her face was red. Some of them are demonic beasts. They eat humans and attack people who pass by the sea. Ning Shu said. Yi Heiyu's eyes were dazzled. Looking at the vast sea, her heart was filled with pride. Master, in the future, can I go anywhere I want? As long as you have cultivation, you can travel 1,000 miles in a day. Your divine sense can roam the world and reach the void. There is no place in the world that you can't go. Ning Shu said. Immortal cultivators looked at mortals as if they were snails. They were slow, had short lifespans, and were weak. How nice. Yi Heiyu took a deep breath and exclaimed as if he could smell the salty and wet ocean. The world had suddenly become incomparably vast, and their destinies had also changed. They no longer needed to hide in a small ravine, and an even vaster world had appeared. Excitement, shock, and irrepressible. Yi Heiyu looked at Ning Shu, who was flying on his sword in front of her. It was her master who had changed her fate. Yi Heiyu smiled. He would become a person with a long lifespan, an immortal who could fly in the sky and burrow into the earth. He would become one of those immortals who only existed in books. Seeing the purple sand island from afar, Yi Meiyu asked, Master, is that where we live? What a beautiful color. That's right. In the future, you will be cultivating with me. There are many senior and junior brothers there, as well as dignified elders. There are many things to learn. Ning Shu said, Don't be nervous. There are like-minded people who pursue the immortal Tao. No matter what they do, it's all for the sake of strength. Greater strength. Scheming and scheming were all for the sake of strength. Understood, Master. Yi Meiyu said with a smile. Ning Shu directly flew back to his own orchid garden peak and said, This is where we will live in the future. You guys find a room to stay in. Later, there will be an attendant who will bring you the disciples' clothes. I am going to find the sect master to clarify the matter of Broken Sword Peak. If there is anything, just tell the attendant. If there is anything, just say it. You are now considered an immortal cultivator, so there is no need to feel inferior. Especially Meiyu, don't be timid. The secret manual that Master gave you is not inferior to any other secret manual. Cultivate well, and you will be stronger than your brother. Ning Shu patted Yi Meiyu's shoulder. Yes, Master. Yi Meiyu was confused. She seemed to understand Ning Shu's words, but she also did not understand. Compared to Yi Heiyu, Yi Meiyu did not seem to feel that her fate had changed. Yi Heiyu's spirit was different. Her eyes were shining, filled with fighting spirit. Master, you go. Yi Heiyu said. Ning Shu flew back to the main hall. When he arrived, Qi Cheng and Yu Xian were already inside. Sect Master, Junior Sister is here. This matter is like this, you can ask Junior Sister. Qi Cheng said. I just came in, how would I know what you said, Senior Brother? Please repeat it again, Ning Shu said indifferently. Yu Xian suddenly frowned. Was this woman deliberately looking for trouble? Sect Master said. The mountain directly disappeared. Ning Shu took out a jade slip and said, I have engraved the specific image in this jade slip. What the mountain looks like, it is all inside. The jade slip flew into the sect master's hand. His spirit sense entered the jade slip and checked it. Then his expression became a bit speechless. Such a big mountain suddenly flew away? Qi Cheng also very helplessly said, In fact, it disappeared. Sigh, it seems that this thing should not be obtained by our Purple Sand Island. Sect Master also had no choice. Sometimes, things like opportunities really made people very helpless. Eoxuan's lips curled up. When she had time, she would study the sword Broken Mountain and see what it was. When she went to the Senfu to look for information, there would definitely be a way to solve it. Moreover, half of it was cut off in the Senfu. The previous Shinto sects would definitely have records of it. You guys have worked hard. Go back and rest. Sect master took the lead to leave. He was going to cultivate. Qi Cheng and Ning Shu said, "It seems that we worked hard for nothing." Ning Shu grinned, "Yes, nothing." Ning Shu looked at Yu Xian, "You are glowing. Looking at you, it feels like a treasure has fallen from the sky." Yu Xian indifferently looked at Ning Shu. "What do you want to say? Why do you have to provoke me? What's wrong with you?" Ning Shu took a deep breath. "I am the cheap one, you are the cheap one. Stop fooling around. This is the main palace. Are you guys going to fight?" Qi Cheng was really helpless. He patted the back of his disciple's head. "Let's go back." Only then did Yu Xian leave. If this kind of flea kept jumping around, then she could only kill it. Ning Shu left the main palace and flew back to Lan Yuan Mountain. The two children had already cleaned up and looked like models. Ning Shu told the two children some things to take note of when cultivating. Then he introduced the situation of Purple Sand Island to them. Then he let them cultivate and set up a spirit gathering array in each of their rooms. Ning Shu said to the two children, "Soon, it will be the sect's young disciple competition. Every mountain will send out a strong disciple. This year, you two should participate as well. Take it as a chance to see the world." However, a mystic realm is about to open. If you get a good result in the competition, you can go to the mystic realm. This mystic realm can only be entered by cultivators below Golden Core. Chapter 1814. Yi Hiu roughly understood what Ning Shu meant and asked, "Master, do you want me to win the sect competition and then go to the mystic realm?" Every sect had a place for disciples to cultivate, fight monsters, and pick up treasures. Ning Shu said, "When did I ask you to go to the mystic realm? I just want you to see the world. You don't have to win. The mystic realm opens once every 10 years. At a certain time, the enchantment will weaken." Yi Hiu was speechless. "So what do you mean, Master?" Yi Hiu was a little confused. "I just want to tell you some things. Cultivate well and get to know your fellow disciples." Ning Shu said, "You're just going through the motions. Just go up and join in the fun. Don't give yourself pressure." Yi Hiu, "Yes, I understand." Yi Hiu was looking forward to the sect competition. As for whether he could go to the mystic realm, Yi Hiu could only hope. It would be best if he could go, but if he couldn't, then forget it. Ning Shu also sat cross-legged and began to cultivate. His hand stroked his chin. Eoshuan's trump cards were endless. Just the 9 heavens divine wind fire could burn everything in the world. No matter what it was, it could burn everything. Moreover, it was like a gust of wind that could burn mountains and rivers. Ning Shu didn't think that the bottle contained such a thing. Wasn't that bottle burned by the 9 heavens holy wind fire? This kind of fire couldn't be trapped. Or was there an array in the bottle? Any random object thrown out would be enough to blast her to smithereens. What would other mission enforcers do if they were in her shoes? Anyway, Ning Shu was a little numb now. Wait for this mystic realm. Ning Shu ate an elixir and began to cultivate. Ning Shu also stopped running to Qi Cheng's mountain peak and didn't exchange any insights. Ning Shu took a deep breath and again and again and again and again and again. Why did he feel like he was going to give birth? Ning Shu set up a spirit gathering array to absorb spirit qi and star energy, but she couldn't absorb the fiery sun energy, because the fiery sun energy was too violent. Right now, she already had a feeling of being possessed by the devil. If she absorbed the fiery sun energy, it would be like roasting herself on a fire. Ning Shu was cultivating hard, and so were his 2 disciples. Yi Hiu was especially serious. Yi Meiyu was young and ignorant. She did whatever her master and brother told her to do. However, life now was better than before. She had beautiful and luxurious disciple clothes, and she had enough to eat and wear warm clothes. However, this little lass was quite fond of her appearance. After returning to Purple Sand Island, Ning Shu returned to her previous appearance. Cultivators rarely had ugly faces that could be slightly adjusted. Yi Meiyu, this little girl, asked Ning Shu, Master, can disciple grow to be as beautiful as you in the future? Cultivate well. When you are strong, don't talk about being as beautiful as me. Even the number one beauty in the cultivation world will do. However, you have to be very, very strong. Ning Shu said directly. Since she liked to look pretty so much, he would use this as a goal. Yes, disciple will cultivate well. Yi Meiyu lifted her skirt and jumped out of Ning Shu's room. Yi Heiyu cupped his hands in front of Ning Shu. Master, sister is not sensible. Master, don't be angry. Everyone loves beauty. What is there to be angry about? However, beauty is just a surface. She will slowly understand in the future. Ning Shu pointed to the praying mat. Sit on it. Yi Heiyu sat on the praying mat and felt a strong spiritual qi from the praying mat rushing into his body. You can use this praying mat. If there is anything you don't understand, you can ask me. Ning Shu said. Yi Heiyu immediately stood up. Thank you, Master. Ning Shu checked Yi Heiyu's cultivation situation again. Yi Heiyu was now in the qi refining realm and had not built his foundation. With your talent, building your foundation is possible. You don't need to use any foundation building pills. Naturally, building your foundation is the best. Ning Shu blessed Yi Heiyu. Yi Heiyu immediately nodded. I know, Master. Master, I have a question to ask. Ning Shu nodded. Go ahead. Yi Heiyu thought for a moment and said, from the beginning of cultivation, disciple felt the spirit energy rush into disciple's body. When I'm not cultivating, it is a bit slow. However, when I am cultivating, I absorb more spirit energy than sister. This disciple is a bit scared. Ning Shu, that I'm a bit scared too. Ning Shu smiled and said, what's there to be scared of? People have all kinds of physiques. Some people's meridians are blocked and they can't cultivate for the rest of their lives. Some people's meridians are wider and smoother than ordinary people's. We cultivators also need to open up the blocked meridians in our bodies. Yi Heiyu heaved a sigh of relief, thinking that something had happened to him. This is a special treatment given by the heavens. Cherish it and cherish it. Ning Shu said with a smile, cultivation is to get rid of the false and retain the true. Don't get involved in karma easily. Don't wipe out an entire sect for no reason. The more vicious you are, the more difficult it will be to transcend the lightning tribulation. Ning Shu accepted it with a smile. Master, who would wipe out an entire sect for no reason? Yi Heiyu asked. Ning Shu laughed. I'm just making an analogy. As for absorbing more spirit energy, don't go around telling others. You just have a few smoother meridians than others. It's nothing to be proud of. Remember. Yi Heiyu heaved a sigh of relief. As long as it wasn't a bad thing, it was good. Then can I reach foundation establishment before the sect competition? Yi Heiyu asked Ning Shu. Ning Shu was expressionless. You don't have to deliberately reach foundation establishment. When it's time to break through, you'll break through. Be steady. I let you participate in the sect competition this time to let you broaden your horizons, not to be the champion. Don't underestimate anyone. The disciples in the sect cultivate longer than you, so relax. Let's go and watch the fun. Yi Heiyu couldn't help but ask, Master, I'm the chief disciple of Orchid Mountain. Is this really okay? What's the problem? You can reach the heavens in one step. Master, you're joking. Yi Heiyu's mouth twitched. Why are you so stressed? Don't compare yourself to others. A person's enemy is only themselves. Take your master for example. Wasn't he also beaten up by a junior? He admitted that he was inferior to others. Yi Heiyu's mouth twitched even more. How should he respond to this? He suddenly felt that his master was a little sloppy. What he was most afraid of was the sudden silence. Yi Heiyu cupped his hands. I'm going to cultivate now. Ning Shu waved his hand. You may leave. The great sect competition proceeded as scheduled. Before the competition began, Ning Shu bestowed 2 disciples with protective magic tools so that they wouldn't get injured as much as possible. Moreover, the other disciples participating in the competition would be given some Dharma artifacts by their masters. I won't let you down, Master. Yi Heyu looked at the grand scene and couldn't help but feel his blood boil. What expectations? I don't have any expectations. Ning Shu said, we're just here to watch the fun. Yi Heyu. Chapter 1815. What's wrong with my master? Does he not have any hope for me? Master, are you dissatisfied with me? Yi Heyu asked. Ning Shu, where did that come from? What do you mean by dissatisfied with you? Back then my father was a teacher. He requested that I read more books and know more than other children because I was the teacher's child, said Yi Heyu. Master, you didn't have any requests for me, so I felt uneasy. Ning Shu, then you should learn more combat experience. Ning Shu said. After the sect leader's grand and hot-blooded announcement, the competition began. There were several arenas, individual and group competitions. Ning Shu had signed both children up, so Yi Heyu was a little conflicted. Master, I don't know anyone on Purple Sand Island, so I am unable to participate in this group competition. That's why you need to communicate with people. Pikachu said. Yi Heyu felt that this master was a little deceitful. The competition began, and the elders of the various peaks sat on the high platform, watching the competition. This was to test the cultivation results of the disciples. Some elders talked to Ning Shu, asking if Ning Shu was looking for 2 disciples. Ning Shu nodded, saying that he went out and found 2 disciples. The sect leader sat in the middle of the high platform excitedly, preparing to see the future pillars of the sect. The young disciples were the future of the sect, otherwise, the sect would definitely decline. Yi Yuxian definitely had to participate in this competition, and she was basically defeated in one move. The sect leader on the high platform first praised, "Yeah, this disciple isn't weak," but then his face turned ugly. The disciples who went up were all defeated in one move. They were thrown down the moment they went up. After that, the sect leader and the elders of the various peaks all had faces like ashes. The disciples who went up against Yi Yuxian all had the same fate. The sect leader supported his head with his hand, his elbow on the chair, tilting his head and looking at the arena expressionlessly. The elders couldn't bear to look at the competition on the arena. Ning Shu was all smiles as he watched the match. He noticed that Yi Heyu had actually won 2 matches and was starting to feel rusty. However, he seemed to have entered the zone. However, the little girl Yi Meiyu didn't even last 1 round before she lost. She looked at Ning Shu pitifully. Ning Shu said directly, "It's okay." Anyway, there were so many people who lost. Yi Heyu walked to Ning Shu's side and called him master. Ning Shu nodded. Not bad. You've exceeded my expectations. I have already browsed through the jade slips of Orchid Garden Peak. I have a rough idea of some of the sect's moves. My opponent used a move, but I knew how to counter it. I won by luck. Yi Heyu's face was covered in sweat as he smiled, revealing his teeth. Ning Shu raised his eyebrows. Not bad, not bad. For someone like Yi Heyu, even if he couldn't cultivate, he would probably have a great fortune in the secular world. A qilin is not a fish in a pond, it will transform into a dragon upon encountering a storm. Ning Shu smiled and said, since that's the case, then work hard and try your best to increase the number of spots. That way, I will help you fight for more cultivation resources. Thank you, Master. I will work hard. Yi Heyu's smile was brilliant. The youth was full of heroic spirit, like a young bamboo, growing strong and strong. Yi Yuxian defeated several opponents in a row. This was the fastest competition. The other matches were in a stalemate. Yi Yuxian stood on the stage, her hair tied into a ponytail that hung down to her waist. She was dressed in beautiful armor, outlining her beautiful curves. She was a proper goddess. She was valiant and had the beautiful curves of a woman. Yi Heyu whispered to Ning Shu, senior apprentice sister Yi is so strong. This was only the tip of the iceberg. Yi Yuxian still hadn't taken out her divine weapon. The sect leader said to Qi Cheng, your disciple is not bad. She was just a bit unruly and arrogant. Even the word, a bit, was used politely. Qi Cheng cupped his hands. Sect leader, This child's strength is not bad. However, her temper needs to be polished. Yes, it needs to be polished. The sect leaders silently watched as Yu Xian kicked another disciple off the stage. He rubbed his forehead, feeling a headache coming on. This had almost become Yi Xuan's personal show. It seemed that Yu Xian was aiming for the mystic realm. This mystic realm could only be entered by cultivators below the golden core realm. Those above the golden core realm would be expelled by the barrier. Ning Shu silently looked at Yu Xian, who was the center of attention. No matter what, he had to trick this person. Yu Xian originally cultivated a divine Dao secret technique. Her strength wasn't weak. Although she hadn't formed her golden core yet, with the addition of her divine weapon and various methods and trump cards, early nascent soul realm cultivators might not be her match. Even if Yu Xian didn't use her divine weapon, none of these disciples would be her match. If they were at the same starting point, Yu Xian would have already led by a few rounds. She had left those at the same level far behind her. The group of disciples looked at the arrogant Yu Xian on the stage. They really couldn't do anything. They couldn't beat her, and she even made their senior brother vomit blood. It was really frustrating. Even Qi Qing, as her master, couldn't stand it any longer. He said to Yu Xian, take a break. Let the other disciples continue. Yu Xian was still respectful towards her master. She didn't even pant as she left the stage. She ignored the other disciples' disgusted, strange, and worshipful gazes. The competition continued. However, the elders on the stage didn't look good. They all looked like they were smeared with soot. Yi Hiu also participated in 2 matches. Luckily he won. Ning Shu couldn't help but ask, were you hiding your strength? This kid's strength couldn't be at the Foundation establishment realm, right? Plus, his meridians were unblocked. Ning Shu thought about it carefully. It should be a trick. Yi Hiu attacked his opponent's weakness. Yi Hiu shook his head. Master, this is already my greatest strength. The future matches will get harder. I don't think I can continue. It's fine. You're not bad. Excluding those unlucky people who met Yu Xian at the beginning, you're still in the top 100. Ning Shu relaxed his brows. Let's do it step by step. Next match, Yu Xian from Changliang Palace Hall versus Yi Hiu from Lan Yuan Peak. Yi Hiu had a helpless expression. It seemed like this was his last battle. Ning Shu took out a jade pendant and let Yi Hiu hang it on his waist. There's a defensive array inside. Be careful. Don't be like your senior brothers and sisters. If you get injured, you'll have to be bedridden for half a month. It's not worth it. Yi Hiu hung the jade pendant on his waist and went up the stage. Ning Shu looked at the 2 people on the stage. Ning Shu was slightly worried that Yu Xian would kill Yi Hiu because of her. She was afraid that Yu Xian would destroy her cultivation path. The disciples below the stage shook their heads. Another person looking for death. He would be kicked off the stage again. Sigh, Yi Hiu was calm in front of Yu Xian. He even cupped his fists towards Yu Xian politely. Senior Sister Yi, please enlighten me. Yi Xuan's expression was indifferent. Her movements were not slow and her aura was strong. In one move, Yi Hiu was knocked off the stage. Even the defensive array on Yi Hiu's body was broken. The jade pendant shattered. It was obvious how much strength Yu Xian used. Chapter 1816. With the protection array as a buffer, Yi Hiu spat out a mouthful of blood but was not seriously injured. He got up and wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth. He cupped his hands and said, I lost. Then he walked towards Ning Shu. Brother, are you okay? Yi Meiyu hurriedly asked Yi Hiu. Yi Hiu shook his head. Yi Meiyu was about to look for Yu Xian angrily but was stopped by Yi Hiu. What are you doing? It's inevitable to lose in the arena. Furthermore, she beat up so many senior brothers and sisters. Those who fought with Yu Xian all ended up the same. Yu Xian did not expect Yi Hiu to be the one with the lightest injuries. It was probably because Jiang Xuetzi stuffed all the good stuff into this disciple's hands. Master, I lost. Yi Hiu said. Ning Shu said casually, it's okay. Against Yu Xian, your master will also be beaten up. Yi Hiyu was speechless. There was no suspense in the rest of the competition. Yu Xian defeated all the opponents and won first place without any suspense. Ning Shu transmitted a message to the sect master, who was expressionless. Sect master, don't let Yu Xian enter the mystic realm. She was the one who took away the broken sword mountain. This person inherited an ancient divine Dao sect. If she controls the mystic realm, our Purple Sand Island's foundation will be destroyed. The sect master calmed himself down and looked at Ning Shu. He transmitted a message to Ning Shu and asked, "Have you investigated this thoroughly?" She was definitely the one who took the broken sword mountain. It's best not to send her into the mystic realm. Ning Shu said, once she controlled the core jade token of the mystic realm would be hers. Although the mystic realm belonged to the Purple Sand Island on the surface, the island did not really control the mystic realm. They only let their disciples enter when the enchantment was weak to find treasures. People could not be lucky all the time, but there would be a rebound. Yu Xian could not have no setbacks, but she could not die. The sect master was skeptical. Ning Shu transmitted a message again. Sect master, please believe me. Yu Xian did not cultivate the techniques of the Purple Sand Island. None of her moves are from the Purple Sand Island. She also has many divine weapons. The sect leader frowned, thinking hard. Then why did she come to Purple Sand Island? Maybe it's because Purple Sand Island is a remote place, and it's in the middle of the sea, so it's looking for an opportunity to grow, Ning Shu said. There had to be a transition. No matter how big this cheat was, Yu Xian still needed to grow and cultivate. Otherwise, without strength, how could she wield a god equipment? How could she control a god equipment? The sect leader looked at Yu Xian carefully and realized that Yu Xian had not used any of the moves of the Purple Sand Island, and his face turned ugly. The first place had been decided. The sect leader smiled. Not bad. The top 50 can all go to the mystic realm to cultivate. What you can bring out will depend on your luck. The first place will be rewarded with a magic artifact. You can choose whatever you want from the artifact refining room, the sect master said with a smile. It was impossible to tell that he had any complaints about Yu Xian. Thank you, sect leader. Although Yu Xian did not care about magic tools, the strength of this sect master made Yu Xian feel a little pressured. However, as long as she had enough time, she would be able to defeat this sect master. The sect master was a person who had lived for hundreds of years. He would definitely be able to sense Yu Xuan's disdain. Moreover, Yu Xian was the type of person who disdained to hide her emotions. Sect leader, this disciple was really unruly. Would she bring any trouble to the sect? The sect leader's heart was beating rapidly. He had a bad feeling. It must be that Jiang Xuezi from the Lan Yuan Peak had given him a psychological hint. Now that he saw Yu Xian, he felt that Yu Xian was developing in the direction of a jinx. The sect competition ended very quickly. Yu Xian kicked one disciple after another, and the competition ended prematurely. Thinking back to the competition, there was only Yu Xian, and nothing else. His heart ached for the disciples who were reduced to background characters. After the disciples left, the sect leader sent a message to Qi Cheng, asking him to bring Yu Xian to the main hall. The sect leader sighed and said, "This time, your disciple will not go to the mystic realm." Qi Cheng frowned. "But as compensation, the sect will give some compensation. Heavenly treasures are fine." The sect leader said. Yu Xuan's face turned ugly. "I am the first place. Why can't I go in alone? This is too unfair." She was the first place, but she was not allowed to go in. What kind of joke was this? Many thoughts flashed across Yu Xuan's mind. She felt like she was being targeted. In the entire Purple Sand Island, only that woman from Lan Yuan Peak had a grudge with her. She was definitely the one behind this and wanted to take revenge. I am the leader of Purple Sand Island. How can a junior be so rude to me and ask me why? Although I was annoyed, as an elder, I should show some magnanimity in front of a junior. You are strong and don't need to go to the mystic realm. Although your spot has been removed, you will still get what you deserve. The sect leader said nicely. She wasn't weak, and if she stayed on Purple Sand Island, she would be a pillar of Purple Sand Island in the future. Chi-Ching asked, "Sect leader, why is it that only my disciple can't enter? There has to be a reason." "You don't have to care about this. This is what the Grand Elder wants." The sect leader couldn't find a reason to drag in the Grand Elder, who was in secluded meditation. Chi-Ching frowned. "Why would the Grand Elder pay attention to my disciple and not let her enter? Sect leader, you are being unfair. Moreover, my disciple is the first." What a random thing. Yu Xian also felt like the sect leader was finding an excuse to keep her here and not let her enter the mystic realm. Yu Xian asked sarcastically, "Then, who took my spot? Is it a disciple of Lan Yuan Peak?" That woman pulled her down to pave the way for her disciple. Lan Yuan Peak didn't have a disciple in the top 50. The sect leader said coldly. Since when was it a junior's turn to point out the sect matters? She didn't care about her seniors. He watched Lan Yuan Peak's Jiang Xuetzi grow up, and she was an elder. For a junior to look down on her like that, it made him feel really annoyed. This feeling was really fucking unpleasant, and it was obvious that this disciple was not on the same side as the Purple Sand Island. His own family was being bullied by an outsider. The barrier this year isn't stable and you are strong. If you enter, there will be problems. The sect leader said as he scanned the equipment on Yoshuan's body. With one look, the sect leader felt a little apprehensive. This set of clothes was clearly a Dharma artifact with extremely strong defensive capabilities. The shoes were also Dharma artifacts, and the spiritual energy fluctuations were very strong. The sect leader believed that this disciple wasn't simple. She might have really inherited a divine path sect. No matter what you say, you just won't let me enter the mystic realm. You are being unfair. Yu Xian felt like the sect leader was taking revenge for Jiang Xuetzi and was making things difficult for her. Hitting the young caused the old to come. Chapter 1817. Both Chi-Cheng and Yu Xian felt that something was amiss when the sect leader suddenly stopped Yu Xian from entering the secret territory. How could one not be allowed to enter just because they were strong? As for the Grand Elder, he was a person who rarely appeared. No one knew whether he had passed away or not. In any case, he rarely appeared. For such a small matter, he specially sent a message for a Foundation establishment disciple to enter the secret territory. Who was he trying to fool? In any case, Chi-Cheng was an expert in the divine transformation realm. He was very unhappy that the sect treated his disciple like this for no reason. Sect leader, you can't do this. My disciple is clearly first place, but she can't enter the secret territory. How can she convince the others? At least, I'm not convinced now. The sect leader rubbed his brows. He was polite because of Chi-Cheng, but Chi-Cheng refused to budge. The sect leader even suspected that he was a useless sect leader. However, he knew that this reason couldn't stop Yu Xian from entering the secret territory. Up to you. If you want to go, then go. Restrain yourself inside. The boundary of the secret territory is fluctuating violently anyway. The sect leader waved his hand and dismissed the two. Yu Xian admitted that she was strong, but she wasn't strong enough to break the boundary of the secret territory. She could break the boundary of the secret territory with just a little bit of strength. Why couldn't she find a better reason? Chi-Cheng brought Yu Xian out of the main hall and met Ning Shu, who was leisurely walking over. In the blink of an eye, Ning Shu flew in front of the two. What a coincidence, you guys are here too. Ning Shu greeted with a smile. Yu Xian looked at Ning Shu with disgust in her eyes. Ning Shu was definitely behind this. Ning Shu was still smiling. Yoshuan's appearance was as calm as the clouds and wind, but on the inside, she was filled with a vicious aura. Junior sister, why are you here? Chi-Cheng asked with a bad expression. He obviously felt that Ning Shu's appearance was too coincidental. It must be related to this matter. Junior sister, although my disciple's personality is a little spoiled, you can't do this because of principle. Chi-Cheng said unhappily. You can even remove the first place spot. How can you not let her go just because you want to? You know that your disciple's personality is spoiled? Ning Shu asked in confusion, "What did I do? Please speak frankly. I'm a little stupid, so I can't guess what you want to say." Only your disciple is allowed to go to other people's mountains to provoke and beat them up. This is the same as going to other people's homes and giving them a big slap. You're talking to me about a matter of principle? What is a matter of principle? Elder Jiang, come in. The sect master's voice was loud and clear. Ning Shu Chi-Chingy cupped his hands. Sect master called for me. Yu Xian swallowed her anger. The most important thing now was to enter the secret realm. She would settle the score with this woman when she returned. Ning Shu walked into the main hall and saw the sect master sitting on a chair. He asked, "Yu Xian still wants to enter the secret realm?" Ning Shu knew that the sect master would compromise. After all, Qi Cheng was a spirit-severing stage expert, and he was also very famous on the Purple Sand Island. If Yu Xian really couldn't enter the secret territory, with her personality, she would have definitely fought with her at the entrance. She was strong and vengeful. Anyone who hurt her would have to pay back tenfold. That Yu Xian is only a foundation establishment stage cultivator. What can she do? The sect master said. Ning Shu sighed. Looks like your news is a little outdated. Don't you know that I was beaten up by Qi Cheng's disciple? The sect master, if he had some sense of shame, it would be easier to say such things. I'm worried about Qi Cheng. The sect master disappeared in a flash. Ning Shu shrugged. What was going to happen would happen. Ning Shu circled the entire Purple Sand Island and began to set up a formation. He was going to set it up when the battle started. No matter what, he couldn't let Yu Xian escape the Purple Sand Island. He wanted to get rid of Yu Xian completely before this calamity befell her. He told the sect master in advance so that he would know what to do. Breaking the mountain with his sword would only expose Yu Xian more thoroughly. When it was time to enter the mystic realm, the top 50 disciples entered the mystic realm. There were many good things in the mystic realm. Yi Heyu looked at the entrance of the mystic realm with envy. Ning Shu said, "You'll definitely be able to enter next time." Yi Heyu nodded. Ning Shu said, "Master, there's something I've always wanted to ask." Ning Shu flicked his sleeves casually and turned to leave. "Ask away." Yi Heyu followed beside Ning Shu. He glanced at Ning Shu and asked, "Master, you don't seem to get along well with senior sister Yi." Yi Heyu was a person who took care of everything. Even now that Yu Xian had entered the mystic realm, Yi Heyu still called her senior sister Yi and not her name. After the sect became big, many disciples, especially those who were kicked out of the arena by Yu Xian, were gritting their teeth. Ning Shu was happy that Yi Heyu was like this. No matter what he did, he would be in the right. Not only would he suffer a loss, but he would also gain a good reputation. Haven't you heard the other disciples talk about the matters between me and Yu Xian? Ning Shu raised her eyebrows. Yi Heyu touched the tip of his nose. But I've heard too many versions. I want to verify it with you. Ning Shu nodded. So it's like this. I wanted to be her master's wife, but she looked down on me. I told her master to teach his disciple the ways of the world. Anyway, I angered her. She exploded and went to Lan Yuan Peak to beat me up. Yi Heyu, Master, do you like men like Elder Qi Cheng? Yi Heyu clicked his tongue. In the past, he had the halo of an expert and blinded me. Now, I don't like him that much. Ning Shu said casually. My relationship with Yu Xian is basically impossible. It should be said that it's absolutely impossible. Yi Heyu nodded. Ning Shu looked at Yi Heyu. Don't gossip about your master. Cultivate well and strive to enter the mystic realm next time. The premise was that the mystic realm was still there. During this period, Ning Shu cultivated even harder. When he had nothing to do, he would strengthen the array formation. When Yu Xian came out, he would find a chance to attack her. This should be Yu Xuan's biggest setback. Ning Shu was prepared to hit her when she was down. Take your life when you're down. Endure it, endure it. Almost the entire Purple Sand Island came out to deal with Yu Xian. She was an elder of Purple Sand Island. Of course, she had to do something for Purple Sand Island. Recently, Ning Shu had been swallowing spirit energy like a whale. His dantian had formed a spirit energy lake. His dantian was divided into two. The lower part was the spirit energy lake, and the upper part was the vast starry sky. The starry sky was because he was absorbing the power of the stars. There was a lot of power of the stars in this world. After all, many demon beasts needed to absorb the essence of the sun and moon. Yi Hiu and Yi Meiyu would come over to ask about cultivation. Yi Hiu looked at Ning Shu and asked, "Master, I feel that you've been serious and nervous recently. Did something happen? /HTML/book/39/39163/indexmal." Chapter 1818. Yi Hiu felt that his master seemed to have a lot of things on his mind. What happened? Yi Hiu asked Ning Shu. Ning Shu casually spread out his hands and said, "It's nothing big. People cultivate to communicate with heaven and earth, and can vaguely feel some things. In any case, something might happen to the sect recently." Could it be that something happened to the senior brothers and sisters who entered the secret realm? Yi Hiu thought for a moment and said, "I heard that the secret realm is the foundation of the sect. If something happened, the consequences would be very serious." That's right. Ning Shu put his hand on his knee and tapped his fingertips. Cultivate well. If something really happened, it would be easier to deal with it. Ning Shu let Yi Hiu cultivate. If something really happened, he hoped that Yi Hiu would be alive. Yi Hiu cupped his hands and left Ning Shu's room. Ning Shu thought for a moment and flew to the main hall to find the sect master and asked the sect master about the situation of the secret realm. "I sent people to guard the entrance of the secret realm. Nothing should happen. The Purple Sand Island has not been able to control the secret realm for so many years. She is just a foundation establishment stage cultivator, right? Did she snatch the secret realm?" In the end, the sect master did not have a direct experience of Eoshuan's strength. After all, the two of them had never fought. Ning Shu just said, "I always pay attention to this disciple. This time I sent a message to the sect. I can basically confirm that the sword peak was taken away by a disciple, and she has an endless stream of spirit artifacts, all of which were refined by an ancient cultivation god. Do not underestimate her. I could not last more than 10 moves in her hands. She has a senfu that can take away a mountain, not to mention a secret realm's jade card." The secret realm had a jade card. Controlling the jade card was equivalent to controlling the entire secret realm. When one wanted to enter and leave, it was as easy as turning one's hand to kill someone in the secret realm. But the Purple Sand Island had not been able to control this thing for so many years, because only people with golden core stage cultivation and below could enter. If one's cultivation exceeded this level, they would be bounced out by the enchantment, so the sect could only rely on foundation establishment stage disciples to find the jade card, but the secret realm was full of dangers. To find the jade card, and relying on foundation establishment stage disciples, was basically impossible. But Eoshuan could do it. In any case, sect master, pay more attention to her. Ning Shu flew around the entire Purple Sand Island. The Purple Sand Island had a sect protecting Grand Array. Together with her array formation, he hoped that they would be able to stop Eoshuan. When he returned to Lan Yuan Peak, Yi Hiu was waiting at the door of Ning Shu's room. He saw Ning Shu land on the ground with a fleshy object in his hands. "Master, the eggshell broke and a chicken hatched." Ning Shu looked at the bird in his hand. It had no feathers and was very ugly. It was crying out with its mouth open, waiting to be fed. Ning Shu nodded and said, "Feed it some spirit fruits and give it some spirit chi when you're free." Disciple understands. "Master, is something the matter? You don't look too well." Yi Hiu asked. "Women, there are always 30 days a month when they don't like anything." Yi Hiu held the bird and left decisively. Ning Shu returned to his room and cultivated slowly. The disciples had been in the mystic realm for a month and had encountered some opportunities. Many of them had been reborn. During this period, Ning Shu hoped that his strength could increase so that he would be able to deal with the Eoshuan. A month passed in the blink of an eye. Ning Shu and a group of elders stood behind the sect master, waiting for the mystic realm to open. But after waiting for a long time, the mystic realm slowly opened. In the end, only a dozen disciples came out. The sect master was dumbfounded. The elders behind him hurriedly searched for their disciples. 50 people went in and a dozen came out. Where were the rest? As soon as these disciples came out, those who were timid began to cry. Qi Cheng saw that Yu Xian had returned. He heaved a sigh of relief and asked, "What happened?" The mystic realm shook. Many people died. Yu Xian said. The sect master's heart was bleeding. In the past, when they entered the mystic realm, they had never seen so many disciples die. Moreover, they didn't know what happened in the mystic realm. The sect master couldn't help but look at Ning Shu. Ning Shu asked Yu Xian, "What happened in the mystic realm?" Yu Xian, "I don't know either. In a daze, I was sent out of the mystic realm." Of course, Yu Xian wasn't stupid enough to say that she took the jade token. Moreover, she had worked hard to get this jade token. "Sect master, I think we should inform the Grand Elder about this matter." Ning Shuchao said to the sect leader, "Out of the 50 disciples, only a dozen are left, and they are all the top disciples in the sect." Qi Cheng frowned. "We don't need to inform Grand Elder about this." Qi Cheng seriously suspected that Ning Shu was going to drag Grand Elder out to avenge a personal grudge. Grand Elder's surname was Jiang and they came from the same family. Although they didn't like each other, they were still related. This matter isn't serious? Ning Shu looked at Qi Cheng. "Don't tell me that in Grand Elder Qi's heart, those disciples who died are nothing?" Qi Cheng glanced at Ning Shu. "I didn't mean that. You're the one who twisted my words. Some people can't be sure what they're thinking." "What do you mean what they're thinking?" "Just say what you want to say." Ning Shu sneered. "Do you think that I called Grand Elder out to avenge a personal grudge? If Grand Elder was such a person, would he have become the Grand Elder of the sect? Some people live in the sect, but their hearts don't." Ning Shu looked at Qi Cheng. "I'm talking about you. It's you. It's you. It's you who never cared about the sect." He picked up his bowl to eat, then put down his chopsticks to curse. Yu Xian watched as Ning Shu got into a conflict with her master. She wanted to pull out her sword and kill this clown. "Master, she was the one who took away the jade token of the mystic realm. Senior brother's soul was also taken away by the jade token." A disciple cried as he pointed at Yu Xian. When this disciple said this, everyone looked at Yu Xian in silence. Io Xuan's face turned ugly. She looked at the complaining disciple with disgust. "Don't talk nonsense. What proof do you have that I took the jade token?" "You took it. In the mystic realm, senior brother who sent me a message and asked me to go to a cave. He said that there was a situation and that the jade token of the mystic realm had appeared. He asked me to go and help. When I arrived, those people were all dead. I hid at the side and saw you take the jade token." Although the disciple was scared and stuttering, he didn't look like he was lying. The sect leader and the elders of the various peaks looked at Yu Xian. Even Qi Cheng asked Yu Xian, "You really took the jade token?" Yu Xian. /HTML/book/39/39163/indexedmo. Chapter 1819. Yu Xian thought that it was fine for her to take the jade token secretly, but she did not expect that there was a rat hiding at the side. "I didn't take it." Yu Xian immediately acted shamelessly. After all, this item was in the Senfu, no one else could take it. Moreover, this secret realm was very big, and there were many treasures and even ancient beasts. There was no way she would take out the jade token. Qi Cheng said, "Since the establishment of Purple Sand Island, no one has taken out the jade token of the secret realm. Although my disciple has some strength, it is not enough for her to take it out." The jade token contained a map of the entire secret realm, and even the location of the herbs could be clearly found. So was this jade token precious? Very precious. To put it bluntly, this secret realm was equivalent to a senfu. This secret realm was more or less the foundation of Purple Sand Island. Back then, the founder of Purple Sand Island discovered this secret realm, and then established a sect on this island. But clearly, this was Io Xuan's opportunity. "You are the one who took it, I can ask the sect leader to search your soul. That disciple was still crying. Searching the soul was a good idea, but the prerequisite was that the person being searched had to cooperate. If the consciousness violently resisted, it could very well cause the person's consciousness to go crazy. This method was like a lie detector in the cultivation world. It could directly find the memories in the mind and clearly know the situation at that time. Eoshuan's face instantly turned ugly. Searching the soul was an insulting thing, but if she was stripped naked, they could check her secrets without restraint. Private. If she really let them search her soul, then all her secrets would be exposed. Senfu, god equipment, pills, and this jade token and the broken sword mountain incident. Eushian knew that the treasures on her would make people drool and go crazy. Not to mention these treasures, this kind of insulting soul search was different from raping her consciousness. It was very unbearable. You have no evidence that I took the item and instead want to search my soul. What an ugly table manners. Eushian had no qualms. At most, she would just leave this place. With her trump card, she could still leave this place. Disciple is willing to search her soul. She really took the jade token. That disciple clasped his hands towards the sect leader. Eushian was speechless. What kind of enmity did this disciple have with her that he had to accuse her of taking the item? Why are you slandering me? Eushian asked with a frown. My brother was beaten up by you to the point where he is recuperating in bed. Furthermore, you were the one who took the item. I can let sect master search his soul to find out the truth. The disciple gritted his teeth and said, Sect master, this disciple is willing to accept the soul search. It's hard to avoid mistakes in the arena. You're not as strong as your opponent, so you play dirty tricks. How despicable. Eushian felt that the atmosphere in Zisha sect was really bad. They couldn't bear to see others doing well. Ning Shu was speechless. That was a little overbearing. You didn't even allow him to be resentful after hitting him. What's wrong with accusing you? The disciple's face turned red from Eoshuan's words. He gritted his teeth and said to the sect leader, This disciple is willing to accept the soul search. All right then, don't resist. The sect leader also wanted to get to the bottom of this matter. The jade plate was related to the foundation of the Purple Sand Island. While the sect leader searched her soul, the others waited quietly. Eoshuan's face looked like it was smeared with soot. Calling me out, what's the matter? An old man with white hair and a ruddy complexion appeared in the air, walking down step by step. Everyone present hurriedly bowed. Grand Elder. This old man looked ordinary. He didn't have any powerful aura around him. His face was ruddy, and he looked like a kind old man. The Grand Elder nodded. He swept his gaze over everyone present. Finally, his gaze landed on Ning Shu. You're carrying bad luck, and your Dao heart is damaged. You haven't come out for a period of time. Little girl, you really know how to ruin yourself. The old man walked in front of Ning Shu. He stretched out his hand to check Ning Shu's pulse. Your meridians are a little twisted, but it's not serious. What happened? Did you get hurt in love? The Grand Elder looked at Qi Cheng. Did something happen between the two of you? Qi Cheng. There's nothing wrong. Eushian looked warily at the Grand Elder who suddenly appeared. This old man looked weak, and he didn't have the aura of a powerful cultivator. However, Eoshuan's heart was ringing with alarm. Her heart was acutely aware of the danger. Then what happened to you? The Grand Elder Ning Shu asked. In any case, she was still a girl from the same family. It's a little complicated. I was beaten up, and I couldn't break through my Dao heart. I couldn't bear such a blow, and my body was temporarily damaged. Right now, I have something more important to do. The jade token for the mystic realm was brought out by a disciple. Ning Shu changed the topic. She didn't want everyone to keep asking her about such trivial matters. The sect master also finished his soul search. The disciple's face was pale, and his soul was damaged. The sect master gave the disciple a pill and let him swallow it. Then he told the disciple to recuperate. He said that he had done a great service this time and would be rewarded in the future. The disciple whose soul was searched was helped away to rest. The sect master cupped his hands. The jade token was indeed brought out by someone. Oh, that's a good thing. This way, Purple Sand Island can control the mystic realm. The Grand Elder said gently. The sect master nodded and said to the ugly Iyushin, "Please hand over the jade token, but in exchange, our Purple Sand Island can satisfy any of your requests." "No, this jade token is mine. Moreover, this jade token has no owner. Why should I hand it over?" Iyushin retreated. "Because you're a disciple of Purple Sand Island. Everything you do should be for the benefit of Purple Sand Island." The Grand Elder said. "Moreover, we're not asking you to hand it over for no reason. We'll give you compensation and other things." "Ha!" Iyushin sneered. "What a good plan. Using a small thing to exchange for the entire mystic realm. Shameless old man, asking for things from a disciple. This old thing's table manners are really ugly. Using your identity as a sect disciple to pressure me, shamelessly asking for things from a disciple. At most, I'll leave Purple Sand Island. Don't blame me for not being righteous," Iyushin said firmly. Being called an old thing, the Grand Elder's face twitched. He did not want to be known as a bully, so he said directly. "The mystic realm originally belonged to Purple Sand Island. It was the ancestor of Purple Sand Island who discovered it and founded Purple Sand Island as a sect. This thing belongs to Purple Sand Island." Iyushin rolled her eyes. "What do you mean it belongs to your Purple Sand Island? Did you get the jade token? Now that I have it, all of you are jumping out and saying that it belongs to you. Don't you have any shame? /HTML/book/39/39163/indexedmal. Chapter 1820. If you have the ability, then take out the jade token yourselves. Iyushin felt disgusted. She didn't have the ability to take it out and now they were trying to snatch it away. It depended on whether or not she would give it to them. Taking advantage of her seniority had no effect on her at all. Grand Elder. This disciple was still wearing the sect uniform, but her words were so arrogant and unruly. The Grand Elder even suspected that he had been in seclusion for too long and the world had changed. "How dare you speak to the Grand Elder like that?" The sect leader shouted coldly. This person had no rules at all. "Hand it over. If you have the ability, then go and find it yourselves. What is the point of snatching mine?" There was no reason to hand over something that was already in her hands. Since ancient times, treasures have always belonged to the strong. The Grand Elder chuckled and looked very amiable. "I agree with what you said. Did he snatch something from your hands? This thing is ours. After all, it belongs to the strong after all. Then you can snatch it from me." Iyushin took out the Hou-I bow and pulled it to a full moon, aiming it at the Grand Elder. "Chi-Cheng, this is your disciple. It seems like she wants to become enemies with the entire sect. What do you think we should do?" The sect leader looked at Chi-Cheng unhappily. He should have insisted on not letting Iyushin enter the secret realm. Chi-Cheng was the one who protected Iyushin. Chi-Cheng was in a tough spot. Iyushin held the Hou-I bow and looked at Chi-Cheng, shouting, "Master." Chi-Cheng closed his eyes. When he opened them, his gaze was really firm. "Forget it. The sect won't lose me, but I am your master." Chi-Cheng's words meant that he wanted to betray Purple Sand Island. The sect leader's mouth twitched. First, the jade token was taken away and now an expert wanted to betray Purple Sand Island. The sect leader was furious. He usually gave Chi-Cheng a lot of cultivation resources and now he wanted to betray Purple Sand Island with his disciple. "You have to think about it carefully." The sect leader asked Chi-Cheng once more. "Thank you, sect leader. I have thought about it carefully." Chi-Cheng cupped his hands. "Master." Iyushin was very touched. Her heart was filled with courage. Ning Shu looked at the sect master's pained expression and comforted him. Since he wants to leave Purple Sand Island, then let him leave. At least he's leaving now. This means that Purple Sand Island is just a place to stay in his heart. He doesn't have any feelings for it. Even if something happens to Purple Sand Island in the future, he won't live or die with it. It's better for him to leave now, to avoid being stabbed in the back. No matter how strong he is, we don't care. People didn't like fools, but they wanted to see someone persevering for something they needed to protect. That would be moving, and that kind of fools were likable. Yu Xian sneered. This is moral coercion. What right do you have to ask my master to sacrifice herself for Purple Sand Island? What my master wants to do is her decision. He wants to scram. I didn't stop him. I didn't force him to sacrifice himself for Purple Sand Island. Ning Shu rolled his eyes. The sect master was reluctant to let such an expert leave Purple Sand Island. He gave up and cupped his hands towards the Grand Elder. Grand Elder, please take back the jade token. This is related to the foundation of Purple Sand Island. Since they had already shed all pretenses, then let's fight. Yu Xian directly shot an arrow at the Grand Elder. The arrow pierced through the Grand Elder's body. However, it only hit the Grand Elder's afterimage. The Grand Elder appeared behind Yu Xian and sent a palm strike towards Yu Xian. Yu Xian hurriedly dodged. She took out her sword and slashed out a powerful sword chi. The sword chi seemed to be able to cut through space as it surged towards the Grand Elder. The sect master, Ning Shu, and a group of elders surrounded Yu Xian and Qi Cheng. They had shed all pretenses and offended them to the end. Otherwise, they would come back for revenge in the future. This was because in the storyline, Purple Sand Island was really wiped out and disappeared. As for the details, no matter where Yu Xian went, the treasures would run towards her. This time, Yu Xian escaped. After that, Yu Xian came back and killed everyone who bullied her. When Yu Xian came back for revenge, the person who entrusted her with the mission was already crazy. When she saw that the person she wanted to defeat had escaped from the entire Purple Sand Island, she completely denied herself. When she came back for revenge, Yu Xian did not kill her. It was not because she pitied her, but because Jiang Xuetzi at that time made Yu Xian lose interest in killing her. Because she was a lunatic, she became a lunatic under Jiang Xuetzi's powerful attacks. She would continue to be jealous of Jiang Xuetzi and live like a lunatic. This calamity was a major turning point in Yu Xuan's life. After that, she became extremely powerful. Ning Shu could not give up this opportunity. He had to kill Yu Xian here. If he won, he would be killing two birds with one stone. From then on, Purple Sand Island would be able to control the mystic territory. Yu Xian looked at the people surrounding her and snorted in her heart. Bandit sects, bullying people with numbers. Elder Tai's power had returned to its original state. Although one could not tell how powerful he was, he easily dodged Yu Xuan's attack. Master, take this. Yu Xian took out a divine weapon and heroically said, Master, today, let us master and disciple rush out of Violet Sand Island and kill all of them. Qi Cheng took the divine weapon from his disciple and nodded, okay. Ning Shu snorted and said loudly, Qi Cheng, I hope your Dao heart will be damaged forever and you will never become an immortal. Your Dao heart will be damaged forever and you will never become an immortal. Ning Shu's voice echoed in the entire Purple Sand Island, causing Qi Cheng's heart to tighten. Master, don't bother. That woman wants to affect your Dao heart. Yu Xian hurriedly said. Junior sister, you can't affect me. Qi Cheng looked at Ning Shu. Ning Shu said indifferently, I'm just cursing for fun. No, how about we make a bet? I'll bet my life's cultivation that you will never become an immortal. How about that? Qi Cheng's face could not help but darken. Probably because he found some inspiration from Ning Shu, the sect head shouted loudly, Today, Purple Sand Island's 32nd generation disciple, Qi Cheng, is unrighteous. He wants to destroy Purple Sand Island's foundation and betrayed Purple Sand Island. Today, this unfilial disciple, Qi Cheng, is expelled from Purple Sand Island. From now on, Qi Cheng's descendants are not allowed to enter Purple Sand Island. Since you want to leave Purple Sand Island, then you will be directly expelled from the sect. Actively betraying and being expelled were two completely different things. The former still had a bit of glory, while the latter was a complete humiliation. Qi Cheng's face turned red. He groaned and a trace of blood flowed out from the corner of his mouth. Ning Shu smiled. You really think the sect is your nanny? Nanny? Run away. The sect is fine without me, but I am your master. He/html/book/39/39163/indexedmal. You're tuning in to the Passion Pages YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.